Here we go, big Thursday night. I hear a little feedback here. I don't know who that's coming from. There's maybe a little bit of feedback, guys. I am still getting used to the new setup. You guys know we took last week off, guys, so let me know how the audio is. Just still getting used to the new setup. Redid the room here. The office is redone. Getting ready to start streaming on Twitch. Hopefully, first week in May. I said it was going to be last week in April or first week in May. It looks like it's going to be May, but we are very close here. Looking forward to it. Big night tonight. A lot to talk about. A lot of things kind of came up over the course of the week. I guess if I was going to take a week off in news, I guess last week was kind of a good week. You guys let me know. I'm assuming you guys can hear us. I don't see anybody saying they can't hear the audio. Hopefully that's working out. That being said, really appreciate I have to thank both sides of the coin here. I have to thank the amazing panel here that's here tonight. And I have to thank the chat and all you guys that are listening here this evening live. We've got a lot of new games that came out this week and today. Of course, there's also the NFL draft that's tonight. So I know that you guys, a lot of people don't like to talk about sports in the gaming industry or world or podcasting, but nonetheless, it's a big night. So for you guys to be here tonight, it means the world to me. And after a week off, it's just one of those weeks. The show must go on. Like, Mooch, I can't believe you're doing this tonight. I go, buddy, we can't take tonight off. There's too much to talk about. Too excited. That being said, please, guys, hit that like button. Please tweet it out. Let people know that we're live here in New York. And without further ado, the great Crap Gamer is here. Crap, listen, here's the thing. People said to me, Mooch, why are you doing the show on the night of the NFL draft? Crap, the New York Giants are the third pick. Who cares? I know what we're going to get. I know who we're going to get. We're going to see it on X. I don't like sitting there for 3.5 hours watching all those first picks. They come, you see them pop up.
Me, man, like, we're 27th pick. That's hours away.
Crap, that's at that's at 1 a.m. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy, man. We always get in the mid to late 20s, early 30s. So it's like, you got and they might, and what's worse is there's times where I've really been invested in that, and they'll trade back or they'll trade out of the first, or they'll do something and so you stayed up waiting to see who they pick, and it's like, okay, I don't know. I don't know for this year anyway. It's like I'm not as hyped. I don't think there's the big names there that normally. I think there's some solid players, but I don't think when I look at the quarterbacks and stuff, I don't know, maybe people hate on me for saying that, but I don't look at the names being very big or ones that can change the game.
Yeah, you're not seeing that. You're not seeing that gravitation to that. But here's the thing, though, Crap. I hear that all the time, and then at the same moment, I think about other people that were drafted years ago, and they said not going to be big, and they're massive. You know what I mean? They end up being a massive star.
It's hit or miss for sure. You know what I mean? Usually you get at least a few that are people are like, oh man, and this year it's like, I don't know, people are like Sanders could maybe not even get it drafted in the first round, right? Who else? There's only a couple of quarterbacks realistically that, in my opinion, that should. Well, you're lucky you don't need one. I think the Giants are going to end up waiting until next year, and we're going to end up going back with another Manning. That's if we can trade up, because I don't think we'll have as bad a season as we did last year. But nonetheless, Crap. But great to have you here. I know that you're a big football fan, so I appreciate you taking time to be here. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, great to have you. The great Persona is with us tonight. And listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but Persona just happens to play a lot of games. And since we are talking games a lot tonight, I said I got to get my man Persona back on the show. He did a marathon run through yesterday. And listen, we're going to get to it. We're not going to ask Persona now. You may be surprised at his opinion on this. I was a little surprised because I watched his live show yesterday. Persona, welcome back to the show, buddy. Great to have you on. How you doing tonight?
Yo, what's going on? Am I coming through clear, loud and clear?
You are. I hear you good. Now, I know I saw one person saying I don't have no audio. I definitely think he was trolling with me, but I think they're hearing us. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, good. Oh, good. Yo, shout out to you, Mooch. Shout out to everybody here, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Appreciate the invite, Mooch, always, man, coming through to the CrossFire podcast. And, back in the day, Mooch, when I first came on, the Mooch family, they were like, Mooch, if you bring that Persona guy on again, I'm unsubscribing.
I'm out.
But Mooch, being the New Yorker that he is, and he ain't just a regular, he is an Italian New Yorker.
Yeah, loud.
You understand? And Mooch said, oh, really? I double dog dare you. And he brought me back again.
That's right, baby.
But the chat has embraced me. The chat loves me. And I love the chat. But I need you guys to get the likes up.
Please.
Get the likes up, please.
Absolutely.
But, happy to be here. And again, appreciate the invite and can't wait to chop it up. Chad, I'm taking bets. How many topics you think Mooch is going to get through tonight? I'm thinking.
Oh, let's
3.
do that. Let's do that. You know what? Actually, you know what? 3. Persona, now that you put that, I'll put a poll out for the first 10 minutes, and we'll see if we can see what people are going to say.
Yeah, put a poll out.
I just so the audience knows, there's 10 out there for the panel. There's 10 out there. Let's see if we can get through 3. It's the over-under. So, Persona, I like the bet out there already. Great to have you here tonight. Crap, very funny. He says those dislikes now, they went to the great, let me introduce him, the great Death Singer. Death Singer, you were saying, what a great time for an RPG fan. I said it's just a great time to be Death Singer. Death Singer, welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Oh, it's a fantastic time to be me. Like, I'm getting blessed all over the place. What do you mean? So it's gonna be a great time. Got a good panel, got good topics, and it's shout out to the chat as well. I love you all.
Honestly, Death Singer, they love you too. We all know this. Okay, they may never admit it, but they do. They really, really do. The great Willie Gamer is with us as well. Willie, when we're talking games, very similar to what I said to Persona, the passion that you have for games, and sometimes, Willie, it can get a little dangerous. Sometimes his passion goes into the negative side of things, and then he really riles up the audience. But Willie, I have a feeling tonight it's all love and admiration. Willie, how you doing this evening?
Bro, I got my whiskey with my on the rocks.
Beautiful.
I have Oblivion on my TV right now, on my OLED, looking absolutely beautiful.
It is.
I've just come off Clair Obscur, which has to be one of the greatest first impressions a game has had on me in a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can already see it is genre redefining.
Wow.
It is absolutely probably it is just a work of art. It's the acting, the voice acting. I cannot stress enough with Charlie Cox and that Estelle gal. It's just mind blowing. It's so grounded, gritty, based, believable. Whilst the world around them is so fantasaical and fantastical, and yet it just sucks you in. It's Oscar worthy, and the music is just unbelievable. I would pay £100 to go to a symphony orchestra to listen to them play the soundtrack to this video game, and to be able to dive between pure nostalgia, that is Oblivion Remaster or Remake, and enjoy the art that is Clair Obscur.
Yeah,
I am so happy right now. I'm arguably happier than Death Singer, which is crazy to say, I know.
That's rough.
But
I don't know if that's true.
The reason why I can say that quite confidently is not only are me and Death Singer eating the same sweet, sweet meal right now, but then we've got Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2, games he won't be playing, and we've got those around the corner too. So I love you, Death Singer, bro. But yeah, I'm the happiest guy. I'm the happiest guy here right now.
Willie, 10% of sales just jacked up right now on the sale of Expedition 33. You don't realize this, but that's late breaking news. Great to have you, Willie. Outstanding. I can't wait to get to those actual games and hear your take on it. The great Nib is with us as well. Nib, listen, now that we get the clock straightened out, it's good to see you here promptly on time. And I know you're always on time, Nib. You're a businessman. I understand this. So it's not your fault. But Nib, great to have you, buddy. How you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. I will just echo the comments from Willie on Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. It is electric. Like, I was just about to put out a tweet. Like, there's no way 30 people made this, right? That just physically is not possible, right? Because this is like, in terms of production, the writing, the quality of just the story, the world, the creativity, the atmosphere, the art, the combat. Anyway, we can go into it when we get into it. But yeah, I would just say I'm 100% with him on that. And if the game follows through as quality as it's been the first several hours, I don't think anything's stopping this for my game of the year.
And you know what? That's a topic. So let's not you jump the gun there, Nib. But I like where you're going with that. The great Link is with us as well. Link, me and you got a chance to game out a while back. I have a feeling that that's going to be in our future again. Link says to me, hey, Mooch, I got to get on the show sometime. And we actually worked it out so that we were going to have him on the show. And I think it was a week where I had to actually travel out, and I couldn't do it. So Link says, hey, I got time tonight. I'll swing by. Link, how you doing this evening, buddy? Great to have you on the show finally.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing like Willie, drinking on some little whiskey myself.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Man of culture, bro.
I'm not sure if Persona feels this way, but in New York, I think Thursday starts the weekend. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Link, great to have you here. So let me start with this here first and foremost. And I just saw a couple of people in the gaming industry talk about it. So I really want to talk about Expedition 33. I do want to talk about Oblivion Remake here. But Crap, let me ask you a question. So here's a situation, Crap, where you've got Game Pass, and Game Pass has definitely been providing great games over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, right? After hit, Crap. It's been unbelievable.
Really?
Right?
Yeah, it's been actually, no lie. It's been crazy, yeah.
What do you think about this, though? Is there a situation now where you say, okay, Expedition 33, one of the bigger games, especially in the gaming community, I understand it's not going to be a game like GTA 6. I understand that. I get it. It's not Borderlands 4. It hasn't become a household name. That I know. But you have a big get. They go out there and they grab this big third-party, deal. And then they also have Oblivion that comes out 2 days before. Should they have staggered Oblivion to maybe a couple of weeks out? Or no, it doesn't matter. Just flood the gates and let the gamers pick what they want to play.
I don't think it matters. I think that's probably the thought process with Game Pass in the first place, right? Like, yeah. I feel like Oblivion is such a well-known thing. People are going to pick that up regardless. Okay. Right? Like, all right. And that game's going to always be in Game Pass, right? First party stuff, so it's going to always be in there. People will jump on it and they're playing it, and then when this game came out, Clair Obscur, what is it? It's getting phenomenal reviews, so that's going to draw people to it. I've always said that, when you start getting like in the 90s with your review like that, people perk their ear up a little bit, right? Up until that point, it's just another game. Right, when you start seeing stuff like pop around with the 90s, and not only that, but these aren't like some random developers. These were like developers that got fed up at Ubisoft and left, and started doing their own thing. So it's not like they're a bunch of like Joe Blows or something. They have quite a bit of gaming history behind them, and and so they did their own thing, and it's looking like it's going to be a really good thing. For me, I would probably play Obscura first, and then, go into Oblivion after. But, it can't, there's no real bad press there. It's just like, you get added to the backlog, and then you go Doom after that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just like, it is like, and I know a lot of people like to make fun or whatever. Like, look, Microsoft, their hardware done. They're not, they might as well not even be in it. There is no console war, but as a publisher, they might be the best publisher going right now. Yeah. So, just honestly, like, what's EA doing lately? What's Ubisoft doing lately? It's like, I think Microsoft is doing the best in terms of publishing. Their console is gone. You can just tell they're gearing up to, like, they're probably having internal discussions now. Like, should we even bother? You know what I mean? Because, if you look at their latest commercials, it's like, and anytime Phil Spencer talks, he's like, yeah, well, our cloud had 100 billion hours, and, people on PC really love us, but he never, the Switch too, can't wait to support that. You know what I mean?
That's what
but
we hear.
Never talk about, yeah, exactly, but he'll never talk about, like, the actual Xbox consoles or anything like that. So, it kind of is what it is. But as a publisher, man, I think it's bittersweet as a fan of Xbox. They finally get games worthwhile, and it's like, it kind of is what it is,
No, I completely agree. What do you guys think about that? I'll ask Persona just coming from your angle here, because, I don't know if you have PC Game Pass or you have Game Pass or you don't have it at all. Do you typically see Game Pass as something that, like, when they have a hit, sometimes they'll put so much in there right now, and I think Crap kind of nailed it on the head. Like, if you have this right now, you would definitely play Expedition 33 and then roll into Oblivion and then roll into like a Doom, or it doesn't really matter. It's better to have something like that, like a Netflix, where everything just kind of goes in there. It's Jim. I just saw people in the media persona saying basically, wow, you finally get a great third party that makes people kind of gravitate to it, and then it kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by Oblivion, because Oblivion has that nostalgic charm charm. And of course, everybody, I mean, it was 200,000 people on Steam playing it concurrently at one point in time at its peak, I think, on launch day. And then there's also the people that were playing on Game Pass. Does that play a role before we kind of get into the two different games? Because we do want to talk about them as well.
Hey, yo, Mooch, man. I feel like I'm on CNN, brother. You just asked me a very interviewer-like question, sir.
I apologize.
I appreciate that. You know, when you get that radio show, definitely shout me out. You feel me?
I got you, Persona. We're doing New York Sports Radio. Don't you worry about
Absolutely. So, you know, first off, I don't have PC or Xbox Game Pass. I buy my games.
Mhm.
So, you know, I really don't
You good job right there.
really buy all that. But I do think that, you know, objectively speaking, I do think that Game Pass definitely is getting a lot of bangers right now. You know, you're getting the Oblivion remaster or remake. Whatever. Listen, that's a remake. I seen the side by sides. That's a remake. I think that's huge.
They can't call it a remake because they're using majority of the original audio.
Yeah, and I get there's, you know, other variables with that, but it is definitely visually it definitely looks very, very beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Oblivion that's a huge, especially for that to be a shadow drop, that's huge. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I haven't started that yet. I'm planning on starting that probably tomorrow, but you know, that's one of my most anticipated games of 2025. That's a big get into Game Pass. And then you look at Indiana Jones and you know, South of Midnight and all these other games that's definitely coming to Game Pass. You know, I could definitely see the appeal with Game Pass for those who may be on the fence, or, you know, what gives Microsoft that leverage to say, hey, look, come over here, subscribe to Game Pass, because there are definitely a number of titles in there that I think will pull in a number of people.
Yeah, no, I think you put it best right there. I just was I was interested, but let's get into the games here. I think you guys want to talk a little bit about the games here. Willie, I'm going to give you the mic for a second here because I know that you're playing both of them, which to me is basically like impossible. I don't know how you're doing it. You're playing Oblivion right now, and you're playing Expedition. I will say Expedition 33 was on my list for a while, but then it kind of I didn't see it much. And then it ramped up, and this game, I always announce it out there live, right? I say it on. I did get a review code. I haven't started it yet. Very grateful for the review code, but I did not get that even installed. I worked right till the show. Got the code today, but nonetheless, I really do have to say that I'm looking forward to it. What kind of separates this, Wooly, from what we've seen? Because this is a turn-based game. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's not like anything before, because I think a lot of people in the panel would call me out on that. I think this is a beautiful blend of what we've seen with like Persona games, as well as what we've seen with Final Fantasy, especially the you know, remake, etc.
I know this sounds wild, right? But if you could get the best of Forspoken with its visual effects and combine it with the very best of Final Fantasy, and then throw in a new mechanic that hasn't really been done before.
Yeah.
I don't call it turn-based. I call it turn-action. It's a turn-action RPG.
And I know what you mean, but can you explain that to the audience?
So basically, it keeps you engaged where you're not passively watching your actions carry out. You're actively carrying out the actions that you take turns to carry out. So when you carry out a power move, you get rewarded for pressing the X or A button, or whatever key.
And what that means is the dodge or parry, correct?
Yeah, that includes dodge and parry, but it also includes landing the blows. If they're a special move, they require timed inputs that boost the attack. So it keeps you fully engaged in the combat to it, but also parrying is a high risk reward because you can do some devastating parries, which in essence gives you an additional turn at damaging the enemies. And the combat's just it's finessed to a pristine degree. I'm not a huge turn-based fan. The most into turn-based games I've ever been is with Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 2, which is one of my favorite all-time games. But that enables a huge amount of creative freedom in dispatching your enemies and getting rid of them. Whereas typical turn-based, like Final Fantasy VII, not the remake, but stuff like that is kind of I find it quite boring. The whole Pokemon kind of turn-based action mechanic. Whereas this game, it's the only way I can describe it is turn action rather than turn-based.
I like that term. I've watched enough of the reviews to see exactly what you mean. I think a lot of people may still be questioning what we're talking about, even as we kind of go through it. But yes,
I would coin
it as that.
What do you got, Persona?
A good comparison to compare the game to would be Sea of Stars. I don't know if anybody's played
I played it,
but it had some real-time actions that you could do with buffing up your attacks or, hitting the button at the right moment to mitigate damage whenever the enemy attacks and stuff like that. That was a very engaging turn-based combat style as well. So I think, again, I still need to play Expedition 33, but looking at and understanding what the gameplay is, I would compare it to Sea of Stars.
Very, very cool. Welcome to the Wise Old Gamers, the show. But Nib, what do you think, buddy? Do you agree with what Willie's saying here? I know that you put a tweet out with a couple of pictures. Of course, not as much verbiage as you usually put in there. Not as much text, pardon me. But your tweet has already caught fire. Somebody caught it and already started quote tweeting it in a positive way, I might add. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, the reason I haven't tweeted much is because I've just been too busy playing. I'm not joking. I've actually been absolutely hooked. Like I'm being really irresponsible right now. Luckily, my wife fell asleep when she put my little one to sleep. So all I've been doing is hammering this out. When she wakes up, I'm going to tell her I've been trading and doing work, but that's a lie. All I've been doing is playing this for, I'm sat on my sweaty ass. I don't know how long I've been playing this, but I've been playing it non-stop. But I'll say, yeah, I agree with Willie. Like, there's something frenetic and wholly engaging about the combat, because it's not like you're not a pedestrian in the same way that you are with other turn-based combat systems. In every single moment and almost every action, there is a skill-based timing to it. Whether you're attacking, defending, parrying, countering, dodging, like whatever you're doing, the more skilled and rhythmic you are, or the better you are at catching enemy tails and animation signals and
Nib,
whatever.
Mention the audio, Nib. Mention the audio cue.
Oh, I'll get to. But yeah, all of that stuff, like even just the way enemies do sort of like magic attacks, there's like a rhythm to it. So maybe they'll do like an ice attack and it will be like 3 bolts of ice, like, and then you have to parry the third one or whatever. And there'll be, there's a whole kind of, to every combat engagement, there's a bit of a rhythm and a dance to it. So once you master it and you have that like timing down, it's super engaging and rewarding. Yeah, obviously the music, like, unbelievable. Like, it's operatic, it's like ambitious, it's grandiose, like it really draws you in. And it's got like, French opera or whatever. Like, I don't even know what the hell the lady's saying, but it just sounds amazing. And then the graphics as well, like arguably one of the best looking RPGs ever made. It kind of feels like an Unreal 5 tech demo. And it's not just like in the shaders, the lighting, the textures, the art, whatever, but it's also the scale. Like, it seems like they wanted every single, almost every single view to be this like huge, enthralling vista. So it's like you can see so much shit into the distance, and floating islands and waterfalls and fucking all this crazy shit in the background that makes every just stop and staring rewarding as well. And then the story, like, the thing is, like, there's so much shit. Even the world map is like classic Final Fantasy, but like amped up. I guess the way I would describe it is like, imagine old Final Fantasy, but you always wonder what could modernized turn-based combat and all the latest tech and everything bring you if it was like old Final Fantasy. Well, this is kind of it, modernized. And the story-wise, like, how many RPGs have we played where basically it's kind of the same shit, right? Like, big bad guy or king wants to take over the world, blah blah blah. It's always some fucking archetypal villain, and you know, you're taking him on. And don't get me wrong, that can be cool, but it's like gets a bit old and samey. Whereas this is really unique. Like this is, I don't know if anyone knows the storyline. I won't like spoil it. I'll just tell you the synopsis or what it shows in the trailers. But basically, like in this world that they live in, there's some sort of like event that happens every year where there's a clock that counts down, like a number.
Yep.
And every time this number counts down, everyone of that age has 1 year to live. And once the anniversary comes and it counts down again, everyone of that age dies. And then the next age down has another year to live. So this has been going on for like a few decades. But essentially, to try and prevent this countdown from going on, they have these expeditions. And the people, either people who are about to die that year or people who just want to prevent other people from dying, they come together and go off to this fucking thing in the distance, this big numbered brick thing with this crazy special celestial being that controls this thing. And they try to defeat this thing that's controlling this mechanism. And every year the expedition fails and no one ever comes back. And your expedition number 33. I won't go into details, but obviously it's a little bit different and things play out a little bit different. Whether you succeed or not remains to be seen. But even from the opening, because there's this kind of existential kind of sadness and melancholy and dread to everything, because your loved ones around you are dying, and straight from the bat, there's a sadness to it that I haven't experienced in a game in a long time. Like you're walking around and it's the impending doom of your loved one potentially dying.
Charlie Cox was such a genius casting choice as well, wasn't
it? Oh my god, it's amazing! Like I felt gripped.
How is the voice? How is the voice going? How's the voice acting on that as well?
Bro,
really stellar.
You know Charlie Cox is out of Daredevil, the actor.
Yeah.
Daredevil. Yeah. Bro, he brings his A game, bro, and his and Estelle. I can't remember her surname. I always butcher it, but she is just phenomenal, bro. She's subtle. There's nuance. There's depth to the acting.
So let me ask you a question from a top level here, because what I'm listening to is something that I see a lot of AAA games don't even have. How is a small 30 developer team with, I would assume, a moderate budget able to get the star power that they got, and then also
It's the script, Mooch. They read the script and they fell in love with the script. I guarantee it. That's how you know the real actors. Real actors, they don't do it for the money. They do it for the art and they do it for the script. The money is a bonus. They read the script, they pitched it to the actors, and they fell in love with it, hands down, without a doubt. I guarantee it. It's that good. I've not seen voice acting this nuanced and subtle since The Last of Us. It puts Final Fantasy 16 to shame in terms of the acting, the voice acting. And Final Fantasy 16 was incredible. Like I think Clive got too much credit. I think the voice actor, he's actually in this game as well.
He is
the guy who does Clive.
Oh, that's not Ben, is it?
Yeah, he gets. I think the sidekick guy. What was his name? Was it Sam or Ben? I can't remember his name, but in Final Fantasy 16 with the deep voice, he was the best voice actor in the whole thing. He was dead hilarious and funny, but nevertheless, that point aside, like this game, the acting and the script and the delivery and the pacing of the game as well, it keeps you hooked non-stop. Like you're not bored for a second, bro. Like it's just.
Yeah. I will say that there's been no filler so far. Like, I don't think it's a very long game. I think from
that was my next question.
Yeah, it's similar to actually Sea of Stars and the other one I played. I think it was Chained Echoes. They're not hugely long, and there's not that much grinding and stuff. So it's kind of like it understands that the story is driving you forward, and it wants to constantly keep you engaged. So you're always seeing a new biome or a new story beat or a new, something is always going on to drive you forward, and it's not really. There's not much aimless hanging around sort of thing. And even Can
I ask a question about it? I mean, I've not played it. They're both downloaded. I'm ready to play it after the show. But okay, so Sea of Stars I liked Sea of Stars, but it wasn't a traditional turn-based in the sense that it was more rhythm, as Persona said, more rhythmatic than anything else. It was more of a rhythm game mixed with a turn-based game at the same time. So you remember, like traditional turn-based RPGs, you can go and grind and OP yourself to a point where you're like above everybody and you're just going in and one-shotting everybody, right? Can you do that, or is it like Sea of Stars where it's like it's strictly a rhythm-based, almost like a skill-based game, and not maybe a grind fest?
There are audio cues, so every move doesn't just have a visual cue, but they telegraph the move that they're about to carry out against you with an audio cue. So it is like, it's perfect, but Nib summed it up perfectly. It is a dance. It's a rhythm and skill-based combat system. And once you learn the dance, it becomes a ballet, and it's addictive. If you fail, it's a quick load, and you're getting familiar with the tune, with the rhythm, with the beat of the enemy.
But there's no chance of you going and OPing yourself before you come into this, right?
I don't know, maybe, but I found it like a decent challenge so far. Like there's been some side bosses that they one-shot me, which is always fun because like you have to get every single parry and dodge perfect pretty much. And I really enjoy that. I will say of Sea of Stars, I love Chained Echoes. I didn't actually finish Sea of Stars. I dropped it because one, I found it way too easy, and two, I found the characters and the initial part of the story before it gets dark just too on the nose and cheesy. Like it's got that like anime vibe where everyone's like super eccentric and exaggerated and talks like they're high pitched, even though there's not, dialogue. But that's kind of how it felt. Whereas Clair Obscur, it's much more mature and grounded. So it would be the equivalent of like a like a Sony production almost in terms of like the story and the writing. That's the level you're getting in, not your typical kind of have to suspend your disbelief to,
so you would equate, let's say Sea of Stars is Dragon Quest in theme. This would be more Final Fantasy in theme.
Yes, or even more so. Yeah, even
more so by a landslide, I would say, Nib. I mean, it's not
even less campy, like a bit more serious. Like, because Final Fantasy 15,
No, go ahead, Nib. Finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, because like I think like Final Fantasy 7 obviously remake because it's based off the old game that has that like cheesy fun vibe, but I like it because it's not taking itself too seriously. Whereas I would say this is a much more serious tone, like Final Fantasy 16. But I would say, based on what I've played so far, I think it's better written, and there's more thought-provoking dialogue and content.
So let me do this. I want to get Deathsinger in here because I think Deathsinger, this may be your claim to fame this week right here. Babar Country, he says, I agree with Wooly. He will not be playing greatness. He was talking about the great Deathsinger, of course. But T-Rock, shout out to T-Rock who's here. Thank you for the super chat. But he says, turn-based anything, this is going to get the audience in the panel a little lit up. He says, turn-based anything, action or otherwise, should be banned. It's the go fish of combat. If he's kidding, I believe he's kidding. The great T-Rock, everybody. Deathsinger, what do you think when it comes down to it? First of all, have you played Clair Obscur Expedition 33, or have you started on Oblivion? I don't know. You're probably fighting your own demons on which one you'll go with first.
It's not really, because like I've played Oblivion. I played it fully modded. I've been there, done it, and I'm incredibly excited for. Because initially I poo-pooed the remaster, I will say, because I thought it was going to be all Unreal Engine 5, but it turns out it's not. Well, it's because I thought it was going to be, if it was all in Unreal Engine 5, the modding community wouldn't support it.
Yeah.
And that'd be a shame. But it turns out it's the creation engine. It's just they added Unreal Engine to handle the graphics. So that's why it looks so good. But at its core, it's still creation engine. So, okay, cool.
They did what Bluepoint do with their engines on games. They run two engines side by side.
Mm-hmm. And that was a great choice. The thing is, I can sit on it because there's just way too many games right now. So I pushed it to the back. Plus the fan-made Sky Oblivion is coming out this year as well. And that's going to be a better version of Oblivion. So I'll wait for that. Where Expedition 33 though takes precedence. It's a new game. I've been there, done that with Oblivion.
Yeah,
I know
that's
what
fair.
to expect. So I'm gonna stick with what's new because I have no idea. So I've gone into it and it's everything I wanted it to be. Oh, it's great. The music is just. I love me some orchestral pieces. Like I think Final Fantasy 14, like the soundtrack, like some of the raids and some of the songs. They just do such a good, and it just gives me that really orchestral, epic boss fight, vibes to it. And I love me some turn-based combat. Can't deny it. It reminds me of very early Final Fantasies with a little bit of Persona. I can see it. Like if someone said, "I see a bit of Persona in this," I could see it. Like they take an inspiration from other places, but. The combat is really, really good right now. I haven't got too much into the story, so I can't say. I mean, it's as everyone.
Well, I heard. So let me. Detsinger, let me ask you. Someone wrote me and said, "Mooch, you're going to love this game," but they said just be prepared. The first maybe hour and a half or so, it is a bit of a slower burn to start. Is that a true sentiment or no?
Wouldn't say so.
Well, that's fine. Everybody's different.
It also everyone has their own opinion about it. It's like. I mean, it is kind of a thing with RPGs. They generally do have a slow burn at the start. If you take your typical RPG, they do, but they have to set the scene, right? You have to set the world. You have to set what's going on. Here's the characters. So you need to do a bit of world building. You can't just jump in and expect people to know what's going on. So I mean, I can see it. I personally didn't feel that way. I didn't think it was. Slow, or it didn't feel slow. So,
okay. So a few people have mentioned it here today. Persona. I want to ask Persona real quick. Persona, listen. People are saying, game of the year, and when we're this early into the year, and we know kind of stacked lineup is still coming down the pipe. By the way, I'm not saying if anyone feels that way, they're wrong. They're not wrong, but. Does a game like this, because everybody right now, shout out to BG. BG had a tweet, I think it was earlier today or maybe it was yesterday. He said, you got to watch out for games like this. Everyone just thinks GTA 6 or a big name's going to come in and just win game of the year just because you're popular or just because you have the most sales. That doesn't always attribute to you winning game of the year. Persona, does this game... I understand that you may say, Mooch, I haven't started it, so I'm not asking you personally if you think it's game of the year. But could a game of the year, will this game take that title? Could it just sneak in there and take that award this year from these big other lineups that are coming out?
Hey, yo, Mooch, listen, man, I'm a New Yorker just like you, so I speak in absolutes. It is game of the... No, let me tell you.
So let me back up real quick.
Real talk, Expedition 33 is one of my most anticipated games of 2025. Everything I've seen in this game is giving me major game of the year vibes. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing in the game so far. I have to play it for myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if this does win game of the year. If we're looking at the praise that it's being given right now from media and everyone that's been playing it so far. Look at games like what is it? What's Joseph Farah's game that won game of the year? I forgot the name of it. It Takes Two. It Takes Two. It Takes Two. Stray was nominated one year. It's not out of the ordinary. And honestly, this actually checks the indie box.
Yep.
Because this is the independent studio. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Expedition 33 in the game of the year category.
Killer Cam for show. He says, I'm 3 hours in, already my game of the year so far. You're not alone on that. Not at all. There was somebody else who was going to speak on this.
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing because it's difficult, isn't it, to explain these things? Because when someone says great writing, what the hell does that mean, right? It's such a vague term. So I will try to give you the smallest little, example. So in the beginning of the game, obviously, there's someone whose ticker is impending, right? Her time has come up, basically. But you did have a relationship with her, but for whatever reason, maybe your commitment to this expedition, that's kind of the inclination that's given, is you fell out over this ideal of you going away to fight this expedition, maybe to save her or whatever. but you essentially the relationship failed, right? And it tells you that in very few words. But then on her, when on her imminent death or whatever, he goes and you kind of try and reconnect or see her off. And it's a small thing because I feel like most other games would be like, oh, this is my girlfriend or wife or whatever, and she's going to die. I'm so mad, right? But it's a bit more mature than that because you weren't her girlfriend and you had it all and you squandered it. And now, right at the very end, you're trying to reconnect. So because of that, there's this extra bittersweet pain.
Because it's desperation.
Because it makes you think like, this guy squandered his last time with her, and now he's, kind of rushing around to try and fix it. But it's just that these little details in the writing that give a level of depth and thought-provoking edge to a story that I think most people, could have either been more simplistic. So it's just little things like that. Like, it might be an economy of words. Like they're not saying that much, but if you read between the lines, there's a lot of emotion and depth to what is going on. And, and to try and make you think not just about the characters, but what you might do in a similar situation.
It's a good point. We don't really talk about writing in games. I can't remember one of the last ones that people said, oh, you know what, you've really got to get to the writing in games and see what that gets into. And I don't even know, what would you attribute, Nib? Would you say that, or Wooly, one of you guys, real quick before I go on, what do you guys think when you think of this game? What other narrative has been written to this scale? And even if you said nothing, that's fine. What's the next in line, would you say?
Personally, for me, I would say the last game to have this level of not having to explain everything, hold your hand and insult your intelligence, but to just make the acting feel extremely believable. Like, this is how real people talk in an argument. This is how real people communicate, and this is real emotions on display. It's probably The Last of Us Part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Part 2 comes to mind, yes.
I haven't experienced a game in this category, in this tier, in this echelon, where it comes to talent and delivery of a story that's as engaging as it is perfectly paced. It's the best pacing in a game I've experienced in an extremely long time, if ever. Like, the pacing is nigh on perfection. It's just phenomenal. It's from the very get-go. It's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing.
Well,
I will just say, just to cover myself, there's only so much you can gauge from like playing 6-7 hours or
that's true
of a game.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I will preface what I'm saying by it could turn bad, and maybe it gets repetitive later. Obviously, I don't know, but I'm just basing it off the because I know Final Fantasy 16. I also thought the opening of that, like the demo thing, was one of the strongest openings I've ever had in an RPG. Right?
Yes.
Obviously, the way it ends with Clive and what happens, and like it's some brutal shit. It's some Game of Thrones shit, right?
Yes.
And I would say this has an equally strong beginning, but for very different reasons. It's not so much shock and violence. It's more sort of like this somber melancholy and, about, like I said, existential thoughts. But I will say the thing with Final Fantasy 16, the negative for me, besides not having like elemental weaknesses and things like that, was again repetition in side content. Basically games, and I'm having this with Assassin's Creed Shadows as well, and I feel like 78% of the games I play where they don't know that less is more sometimes. Everyone wants to do like non-stop 50 billion side quests and this and that and repetitive shit, and like you just do the same shit over and over and over and over. And all games are inherently repetitive, but if you're doing mundane stuff over and over, it's much less rewarding than if you're constantly, doing engaging stuff. And I think this kind of gets that. I don't know if it was a budget thing or because of the small team size, but inadvertently it's really helped the game, because it doesn't have all this shitty filler. It's just just get to the point and constantly keep things moving. And for that, it is so far much stronger than most games I play.
Very, very cool. I do want to go on. A lot of people in the chat are like, all right, we cannot talk about it anymore. So we will not talk about that anymore. I can tell you right now, though, I am amazed at how well it scored. And I say it all the time. You don't have to. We say it on this channel for years now. Yes, we use it as you can use it as a base for conversation, but it's not typically always a representative of how good a game is. But, I don't know if it's still sitting at a 91 meta, but I mean, it came out guns blazing, and absolutely,
what I will say, Mooch,
it's unbelievable.
Is Death Stranding 2 is still the game of the year, and no one can argue otherwise.
I think you're gonna die on that hill. I'll tell you right now, Willie. I don't disagree with you. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. But with all these great games, we'll see, and we will revisit that. Persona, since it's up on the screen, I'm gonna switch subjects here. I am gonna be coming back to Oblivion later on, guys. I do have a subject about that, and I definitely want to get Crap's take on that because I have a question pretty much for Crap on this. But Persona, since we do have some of the gameplay up here, I was not in the closed alpha. You were. I got a chance while I was editing some video yesterday to check out your stream. I'm not going to speak for you. I want you to kind of take it away here a bit. But Persona, if you don't mind, would you go into your feelings on Marathon with how you were before you even started it up, and then kind of how your feelings may have changed in either direction as you played the game?
Yeah, sure. So I do want to start by saying, before I even start talking about Marathon, I am a big Bungie fan. I've been a Bungie fan since the beginning. Love Halo. I love, Destiny. I've put thousands of hours into both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, it may sound like I'm this is tough love for Bungie and tough love for Marathon, right?
Yep.
I also have to put the disclaimer out there that I am not a extraction shooter guy. Like, I'm not the biggest extraction shooter player, So going into Marathon and looking at Marathon initially, I was when we saw the gameplay reveal, was it 2 weeks ago now? It was something that for me was kind of off-putting because I was just like, an extraction shooter, I'm not really into that or whatever. But the fact that it was Bungie making it, and I know that they're really good when it comes to movement, when it comes to gunplay and things like that, I was hoping that they could change my outlook on how I feel about extraction shooters. The only extraction shooter, and I don't even know I guess you can't call it this, but the only extraction game that I really loved was playing Division Dark Zone. But typically I don't really play what is that other one? Tarkov and all these other. I don't play that shit. I'm just not an extraction shooter player. But I was hoping that Marathon would change that. Unfortunately for Marathon, it has not changed that for me personally in terms of how I feel about extraction shooters. When it comes to Marathon in itself, I can see where fun can be had if you're playing with friends, right?
Yep.
This is definitely a game where if although you can play solo or play with randoms, I can see that experience, and at least for me it did. It got pretty boring pretty quickly.
Yep.
My other issue with Marathon is the engagements are few and far in between. For the map to be so large and for this to be such a PvE type of experience, I wasn't really engaged too much as I would have liked or hoped when running through the map and running to different areas and looting and all these other different things.
Yeah.
It didn't really seem like it was enough of that. Like I want more high octane action. I get the premise is supposed to be going there, getting loot and things like that. But even with that aspect of it, that to me got pretty boring pretty quickly as well. And I'm somebody that likes looter shooters and things like that. But from an extraction shooter perspective, I really didn't see any enjoyment in going to this box, going to this area, going to here, and and digging in here, and I just didn't really get any type of enjoyment out of that per se. When it comes to the movement, one of my biggest pet peeves with this game is actually the cooldown on the running. I'm not sure why that's a design choice you would put in a game like this where the map is already so big, right? These maps are very, you get 2 maps. There's going to be 3 maps at launch. the maps are big, and to have that cooldown, especially if you are in a gun engagement, either with real players or with AI, the fact that there's a cooldown, and I understand, like, you know, you're supposed to level up your runner or whatever, and kind of, you know, because I was playing a little bit earlier today, and I see that there's like certain skills and things like that, like, you know, where I guess you could put things into agility and all this other stuff. That seems interesting, but the fact that there's a cooldown on a run, that turned me off significantly, where I'm like, yeah, I'm good on this.
Right, right.
The look of the game in itself, that was another thing. I was just like, yo, this is just throwing me off, especially coming from Destiny to this. This just looks too. What's the word I'm looking for, man? It looks too.
I know what you mean.
Cell shady. It looks like some bullshit. Like
it's
it just don't look like
it's all pastel colors. You know what I mean? Pastel colors. You know what I mean? It's like this neon. You look like you're playing for the Seahawks all day. I mean, it's right. I don't know how to put it. The art design,
like the color palette,
the color palette is questionable.
Really, it really didn't pull me in. You know, with this weird cell shaded, it looks a little ashy in certain areas. I was just like, this just doesn't. I'm not really liking the aesthetic, the look of it. The runners in themselves, I think, are pretty cool. You know, my favorite runner was Locust, which can be, for those that are Destiny players, the Locust can be compared to a Titan. Void, which is the stealth character, can be compared to a Hunter. And Glitch can be compared actually to a Warlock, because she's got the Warlock ball that you could throw. And it explodes on impact and things like that. So Glitch can be compared to that. And then Blackbird is more of like a recon, reveal where you are type of player and whatnot. So, you know, I think the runners in themselves are pretty unique, but I think for the game play, it's not as engaging or as exciting as I would have hoped that it would have been. So for me personally, I played about 4 hours, because I played a little bit today as well before the show, so that, you know, I could just have it all fresh in my mind. It's not for me. And honestly, you know, this screams, I hate to say this, but this screams free to play, man. Like the fact that they're charging for this, 3 maps, only 6 runners. I don't know that. I don't know, man. Like that also was kind of throwing me off. And I'm like, I don't know, man. This it's just not fun. Like, to me, it's not fun enough for me. It's not fun. It's not fun enough for me to just be like, yeah, you know, it's a great. And again, I'm not an extraction shooter guy, so this is coming from somebody that doesn't really find a whole lot of joy in this genre. So take what I say with a grain of salt. You know, you definitely have to experience it for yourself. But this is something that I think if you are going to go into Marathon, you're going to want to play with friends or people that you're communicating with. So
Persona, let me say this much, because I watched your stream and I wanted you to say it. I didn't want to speak for you. Like, the one thing about this game that intrigues me is, I mean, I love Helldivers 2, right? So Helldivers 2 came out, and that was basically, you know, that was PvE. And it was, you know, and I had fun with friends. I definitely did. And it was the friendly fire, which made things even more hysterical. You know what I mean? And everybody saw the clip, so we don't have to go down that. Yeah. What intrigued me about this was Bungie. We know what Bungie's skill set is. Amazing gun mechanics, creating an amazing environment, fun with friends. And I was like, you know, the one thing that I always thought that Helldivers 2 was missing was that PvP part. You know what I mean? And so I thought when you do PvPvE, you would just expand that and have that fun. Because now what you're doing is you're basically it's an extractor. It is an extractor game. You have to collect loot and get the hell out of there with as much as possible. But I thought, because you guys know, and you guys, I don't have to say it, you guys all know, if anyone who follows me sees I'm on there way too much. Like I still get the rush from winning around a Warzone, right? So now I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're going to take what I was enjoying with Helldivers and going and doing missions, getting things complete, getting all kinds of loot, going back, being able to enhance my character, whether it be in aesthetics or actual weapons, and then I also get to take on 18 people, right? So teams of 3, I'm going to be able to go out there and beat these other teams in a battle royale sense, while I'm then taking their loot and then getting the hell out of there with not only my stuff I've collected, but theirs. The thing that I'm seeing, but that's what I was thinking. But when I'm watching you play it, you kind of nailed it. The world is massive. And the speed is not there. The speed is not there. That's one of the biggest problems I have.
But the difference with Helldivers, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The thing about because I think Helldivers is actually a great point as well, because Helldivers is an extraction shooter. You definitely have fun with your friends. It's more PvE focused. The thing about Helldivers, and I think the reason why I love Helldivers 2 as well. Like I platinumed that. I put like 100 something hours into that. I love Helldivers. It's the action. That was a game that I could play solo or with friends, and just like it's action, and it's high octane, and it was just such a fun game. And I think that's where, for me, Marathon falls short. That action aspect of it, especially for this to be PvE, and maybe it's because not enough people got into the closed alpha or whatever the case may be. But even if there weren't a lot of human players in there, the action from the PvE side is not enough. Like it's I was expecting it to be more.
Yes.
And a little bit more. I get it, as you level up or whatever, like, it would get a little more difficult. But for the map to be so big, there's too much downtime in the game.
Yeah.
There's not enough. Like there is, I don't get a sense of danger when I'm going into a building trying to get or check to see if there's loot. There is no sense of danger, no sense of worry. I don't get that feeling running through this map. It's quiet most of the time. There's no music. I'm just like, to me, this got boring very, 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 very quickly, as opposed to something like Helldivers 2, where it's bugs coming out the goddamn ground as you're running to where you want to run to in a different area of the map. Like there's always something happening in Helldivers 2, where it's just like, yo, I can't just stand here and look at what I have, because and then you got the stratagems and explosions and this and that. There isn't none of that here with Marathon. It's just not. It's not the same, and it doesn't compare.
So
I feel like they, and I'll shut up after this.
No, go ahead.
They should have implemented, and they may do this later. There needs to be just a PvP mode where you can load in and have like a free fall or something. Like there needs to be something like that as well, because if this, and again, guys, I'm not a big extraction shooter guy. But coming from something like Halo or even Destiny to Marathon, it's night and day, and it's almost jarring to see that this is something that Bungie would decide to go with next after coming off the heels of Destiny. Because if this is what it is, from where I sit, and I don't want this game to fail, I hope it finds success. I don't see this being something that will be stuck with for a long time.
Yeah, shout out to, I want to give him credit here. He's saying Stone Patrol, he's saying Helldivers 2 is not an extraction shooter in the way that hardcore players of the genre are talking about when they are talking about extraction shooters. Stone, I know what you're talking about. You're trying to, that's that escape from Tarkov. That's what it seems like Bungie was more going for. The reason we're using Helldivers 2 is Helldivers 2 is the premise of it, the extraction part of that game, right? So that's still an entity within this game, Stoned, even if you do not agree with us making that correlation. Link, I actually played shooters with you, Link. Link, is this something that, A, did you get into the closed alpha? B, if you didn't, if you got a chance to see Persona or any of the other creators being able to play the game early, what were your takes, Link?
Oh, I played a couple of games of it.
Okay,
I'm still in the beta, but it's kind of well, I mean, I think I kind of agree with Persona a little bit. Like they should have made it free to play. Unfortunately,
yeah.
And I didn't have nobody to play with. I was playing by myself. Nobody was talking. So,
well, if I remember right, and maybe when I was watching Persona, you were jamming out with some randoms as well.
Yeah, it was mostly randoms that I was playing with. I wasn't really playing with like people that I could communicate with. But even with that, randoms just running up, grabbing stuff. They're not really like, I'm trying to like read what this is, what it does, and they just grab it from you. Like, if you're somebody playing something like this solo, I can see it being something that you might get frustrated with, because the lack of communication. And you know how play with randoms is with these multiplayer games today, man. Like there's no sense of camaraderie, there's no sense of teamwork and things like that. So I think those are things to take into consideration. And for Stone, because he's talking about, again, Helldivers 2 is an extraction shooter in the sense of the overall mechanics of the game. The point is for you to go down into the world, collect materials, loot, and things like that, so that you can get stronger and things like that. Obviously, it's not 1-to-1 with what Marathon or Escape from Tarkov or whatever the fuck. It's not going to be 1-to-1 to that, but the overall baseline of the game is still similar in the sense of you are going to a planet to get loot. So, and you stand to lose your loot if you die. So like, that overall baseline premise is there. But for me personally, I keep saying marathon is a skip. I'm good on that, man. That's definitely not a game for me. And again, I hope the game finds success. I have to keep saying that. But for me, it's not a game for me in the slightest. I'm good.
No, that's fair. And Stoned Patrol, by the way, I'm going to read this. Stone, you don't have to put it all in caps. I can read it without the caps. He's saying you can die 15 times in a game of Helldivers 2 and you still have all the same gear. Extraction shooters have consequences for dying. You lose all your shit and have a pistol after dying. And I get that. And that's kind of maybe for some gamers a lure to continue to play and get better. And I think, Persona, you said that a number of times on yesterday's stream. You said things like, well, I understand that as you progress and as you get further into the game, this may happen, that may happen, right? And that was kind of good conversation. I do have to say this. So shout out to Skill Up. I think Skill Up got to play this, and I watched it, but this was before, he got to play it before the alpha went live this week. And the one thing he said, though, I want to put this out there, and I don't know if this is going to be more rhetorical for the panel, but I want to hear what you guys have to think either tonight or if we, Marathon's going to be a topic for quite some time, is he said, let's go back and think about when Destiny released back in, I think it was 2014. He said, the Destiny that you played in 2014 was not the Destiny that you've played, 2, 3, 4 years ago. He said, Destiny continued to evolve, it continued to grow, not only in the maps, but the creation and what they did. So Skill Up made a good point. He said, I think what you're going to play in September of 2025 would be, he just was naming this off the top of his head, version 1.0.
No.
He said, we might be playing 3.0 by next September. You don't think so?
No. See, no, this is, I hate when these comparisons happen because it's like developers, so you're telling me developers can't learn from their mistakes and improve upon that? If, because I agree. And listen, I love Destiny in 2014, Destiny 2. I love Destiny from the very beginning. Like I love the premise of it. I love the grinding. I love the loot and the raids and the strikes and the PvP. Like all of that was there, and there was a lot of different things that you could get your hands on in Destiny and play. The thing is, from 2014 to now is 11 years, right?
Yep.
You're telling me for 11 years they're going to go into a new project and still make the same mistakes and just iterate off that incrementally, in increments.
Yep.
In a brand new fucking project. Like, I don't agree with that premise of, well, it will evolve. Sure, okay, it will evolve. They will learn from their mistakes and they will make changes. But again, you're still asking for this to be bought and supported and played right now. So if the idea is for this to be updated over time, why is this coming out in September and not being pushed out another year or two?
That's
if
right.
There's more that can be done, because where I sit, 3 maps ain't enough. The maps are too big. Or 4 maps, 4 maps, whatever. That's still not enough. And on top of that, hold on. I don't care about Escape of Tarkov. We're talking about Marathon. At the end of the day, there is not enough action and engagement. The gameplay aspect, from where I sit, again, from what I've played, the gameplay aspect is not fun enough and engaging enough for me to continue to keep booting into these worlds, into these 3, 4, whatever maps, and trying to get loot to make myself stronger. There's not enough engagement there. Those maps, it's quiet, it's dead.
Yeah, it did look pretty.
They need to add more action.
It looked lifeless.
To add more of that there to give that sense of danger and that sense of high octane action with it.
That's an alpha balancing thing that can be tweaked and fixed, no problem. It's that's literally just getting people to pull to objectives. That's a simple go back to the drawing board and tweak this mechanic within the game. But ultimately, I do think that there's a little bit of conflation here. This is an extraction shooter, so a game having 4 maps at launch is impressive for an extraction shooter, considering the maps are designed to be very deep, very have a lot of depth, have a lot of explorable areas, have a lot of loot, have a lot of underground, a lot of verticality. You've got underground basement tunnels. You've got higher up, levels. There's a lot of depth to a map in a relatively small area. So Escape from Tarkov had 3 maps at launch. This has 4. So I think that issue isn't. I do think there's, we got to. The issue that I have here, Mooch, right, is people aren't happy with a solid, competent shooter because it's from Bungie. What people want is a redefining of the genre, holy grail game at launch. And I do think people today are a lot less easy to please than we were 10 years ago. We're a lot less inquisitive. We're a lot less patient to try to stick to games, to try games out. And so here's a game development studio trying something new, trying to get into the same market that Hunt Showdown is in, but trying to do things a little different. Maybe they'll have bosses. We don't know, but this is just an alpha. So I'm not saying this game is going to be the next greatest thing. What I'm saying is I don't think that. What I want is a solid, competent extraction shooter that will get better and better. And if it's solid and competent at launch, then I'm happy. I'm willing to invest 40 quid into it. For the sake of enjoying a solid, competent extraction shooter. I'm not expecting a game with the depth of Destiny 2 or, Destiny 2 at launch was bare bones. Didn't they learn from the mistakes of Destiny 1? And it's a completely different shooter to an extraction shooter. So
Destiny,
I do think
Destiny 2 had story, strikes, raids, PvP, and different events and things like that. Yeah, they might have messed up on certain things out the gate. They might have messed up on certain things out the gate, but Destiny 2 was still a complete experience with good replayability. There was a lot of replayability. What I'm saying with Marathon is, from what I've played, I don't see that core gameplay mechanic to keep you coming back, right? Because obviously content is not infinite, right? Especially when you're dealing with live service games as a service games. I think we all understand that. But one of the defining factors for me personally when it comes to what makes a great live service game, when you do have the repetitive content or things that you have to do repetitively, is that gameplay loop. If the core gameplay loop and the mechanics of that are not sound, it's not, for me personally, it's not going to, I don't care what you do. If the gameplay loop ain't good enough to keep me coming back, then it's not good. And for Marathon,
yeah, that's fair. I would say that's
for Marathon, it does not do a good job of doing that when it comes to the gameplay loop.
Well, if they fixed the pooling, so the game draws more players into an area with objectives, which is clearly written out on the agenda. They've made that very clear. If that's fixed, so you've got more PvP engagement, and if they have a solid end game with high tier loot that drastically changes the way that your character plays, which they've also promised, they've also said that is the end game. There's even a dark zone in the game. Well, that is basically a higher risk reward environment. I think it's on board the Marathon. I think that's what they're saying. It's like above the map. Well, if that's the case, and it sorts those things out, because bearing in mind this is just the alpha, and if it has those features, would it be would it have more longevity to you, Sona?
I would have to see that. Those things that will happen, we need to wait and see. But as of right now, the gameplay for me is not as engaging as I hoped it would have been. So everything you're saying is what ifs and scenario based. I'm speaking from actual experience of what I've been playing. I'm saying what they promised.
I'm saying the roadmap at launch. This isn't launch. It's not a launch title that you played. It's an alpha.
That's fine.
You haven't experienced the end game. You haven't experienced the dark zone.
Have you experienced the game at all?
No.
Okay, so then this conversation is mute because I'm talking from my experience of playing the game. From what I've played, I understand that there's a roadmap and things and other things that they want to build upon. And I'm not taking that from you, but my experience of what my first impressions, what I've played, is from my own experience with the game. And for what I've experienced with the game right now, it is not something that, for me personally, I can see myself playing.
I respect that. I respect that.
I think when it comes down,
we can't judge the final product based on the alpha.
So coming in before I watched Persona stream and others streaming it yesterday, Willie, I kind of was going into it with what you were saying, the roadmap. I do agree with Persona to a sense where how many times are we going to end up seeing something that kind of launches? And don't forget, it's not free to play. So it's a situation where, like you said, you may not have a problem putting $40 out, and that's fine. By the way, that's totally fine. But a lot of people might hesitate. And how will Sony react to this if it doesn't get... It may not get to the end of that roadmap. That's my problem. We may not get that far. They may pull this. This may be Sony's last, end of the leash there before Sony completely takes over if they haven't already behind the scenes. We don't really know that. I know that they've started. They've made some shifting here and there. But, Crap, I want to ask Crap. I know this isn't your bag, but, is this something like that you honestly, where are you on Bungie? Because I think when it comes down to it, Bungie, we know, has talent. They didn't lose tons of people. They still have their core intact. Is this a last-ditch effort for them, or is this... Because, I know you've seen the gameplay. I know you haven't played in the alpha. We haven't played in the alpha, but what do you think?
I haven't cared about Bungie since 2010, man. Halo Reach. Listen, I'm not sure what they're doing. They probably, I guess a lot of people were asking for a fresh start, like a Destiny 3. It seems like they got a lot riding on this game, and I'm not sure people care about it. 3 maps, extraction shooter. Yeah, look, it's for someone like me, I'm not even gonna play it. So, I just think that it's probably not going to last very long. We're in a day, times have changed. Yeah. It's like even Halo's not big anymore, right? Halo was a thing of the past, and I think Bungie is kind of a thing of the past. They have something there with Destiny. I think people want a fresh start with a Destiny 3 that addresses all the problems and and is just takes everything they've learned over the last decade
and truly allows people, allows newcomers, new gamers to get involved, right? That's the one thing. Yeah, I remember they were I
think that would have a chance. I feel like this has no chance, and I feel like this game, I don't think it's going to get as bad as Concord, but I think that you're gonna see a report for them, a thing coming from them saying, they're happy to have made the game, but they're ceasing all support for it. You're going to see something like that within the first 6 months.
That's what
they aren't going to get any more updates. They're focusing on their other things that they're working on at this time. Thank you for the support. You can no longer buy in-game whatever. That's within the first 4 to 6 months. You're going to see that from them.
Yeah.
That's this game.
I think that's a bit extreme. Personally, but I will say with Marathon, it's Bungie. Bungie still holds a lot of weight within the industry.
Yep.
And I know that Marathon in itself, the 90s game, I know there's a cult following with that. So I think looking at Marathon in itself, you are going to get a lot of people who are going to want to try this game, play this game, and see what this game about. I think no doubt that it will see success in its early stages. I only hope that for Bungie and whatever roadmap updates and things that they do to the game, I hope that stuff is steady, it comes out quickly, and you do evolve the game rather quickly, because from what I've played, if that's really what a lot of people have to look forward to out the gate, I think it's going to be in trouble, because again, engagements are too few and far in between. And maybe it's me. And again, I'm not an extraction shooter player, so that's probably why this game is not for me, and I'm not going to be buying this and playing this. But go watch my stream. There's 5-10 minutes of just there's nothing. There's no AI. There's no there's just nothing. So what there to be 18 players on the map. Where the hell is everybody? Where is everybody?
I didn't see. You were when you died one time. You were like, was that AI? Was that somebody? You're like, where was that?
Who is it?
Who is that?
Jaguars traded up to get Travis Hunter. I'll be damned.
Crap with a late minute CBS report. No, I like that crap.
The Browns are always going to be
browning. They're going to brown. Yeah.
Man. I mean, the Browns are going to brown, dude. That's just like, hey, we got this guy who can play offense and defense, generational talent, but let's go ahead and, trade away and, maybe we can grab another shitty player to, help us continue our shit streak, which I don't mind being a Ravens fan, man. I like seeing that.
You sure do. Real quick, I got to say.
Who's going to hate seeing that is, dude, in our messages there.
I know, I see.
WRZ. He's gonna be like, "Oh man, we suck again."
Shout out to WRZ Cup. We suck again. Shout out to. No, so let me ask a question, Nib. Let me ask you a question because I do want to say you heard Crap's take on it. We've heard Woolie's thoughts on it, and I think Woolie looking out further. Nib, my question for you is kind of a little bit deeper here. This is interesting because this is something that's been bugging me for a while. Is where are we on the development of games these days? And what I mean by that is coming up with something unique. You and Woolie were speaking so highly, and Death Singer, about Expedition 33 and how they're trying their best, and it seems like they've done it where they've changed the game for RPGs to a certain extent. Nothing direct, right? So extraction shooters, and it's funny because Persona says he's not an extraction shooter. I've in all the years we've been gaming, I've never met anyone that was like, hey, I am an extraction shooter fan. Like, my thing is this, I'm concerned at this point in the industry where it seems like the creativity is just dropping, right, Nib? And that's the thing that. So when Persona's feelings on it, I completely understand where it's like, hey, you need to put an A product out, period, if you want my money. And I think as a consumer, he has every right to say that. It's his wallet, it's his money. But the only thing is if this is a situation where it will take time, and they're willing to let it live, and they can really make what some people would say, I'm not into an extraction shooter, I can become one with time. I'm willing to give them that time. It doesn't mean I'm going to be playing this game every day. But my question for you, Nib, is more on the creativity. We don't want another Battle Royale, okay? We don't want more modes like Call of Duty Black Ops 6, okay? We don't want Concord. We don't want this. We don't want that.
We don't want games.
Yeah, it's like when
it's gonna sound.
I'm getting concerned for everything for us gamers and what we're gonna buy and what we're gonna start to see if anything is ever gonna be different. Like, I can't wait for Borderlands 4, but just in, it's gonna be like Borderlands. So like, where's the creativity? Are we kind of strangling the industry by saying, we're not going to buy it, or is that just them? We're not seeing that on the other end of it anymore?
I will say, I would make a differentiation between single player and multiplayer, as Clair Obscur has just shown, and Split Fiction, and even Baldur's Gate, and even Returnal and Saros is coming up. Yes, we do have iterative games. But on the indie side, there's a lot of creativity, and even in the AAA side, there is pockets of it. Maybe not nearly enough, but it is that. And something like Clair Obscur, maybe that is the answer. And actually, Astrobot was similar, because Astrobot, it's not it's weird because it's an homage to platformers of the past, but with its own kind of quirk, with the dual sense and with all the abilities and with the harkening back to PlayStation and IP history and and all that's good stuff. So it's kind of with a twist, and then Clair Obscur is kind of that as well. It's what we've had before with a twist. I don't think you necessarily have to be super innovative. You just have to execute really well. So you can do something that has been tried and tested and done before, as long as the execution is phenomenal, right?
Nib, you're preaching right now.
Yeah.
You're
preaching right now.
I think the thing with the live service segment in particular is it's actually, I would argue, it's much more competitive, and it's because you have these evergreen multiplayer games that are essentially gobbling up all of people's time. So because the nature of single player games is you beat one, you move on to the next one, you beat one, you move on to the next one, there's a bit more flexibility in execution versus innovation and the draw that they need to sustain people's attention. Whereas with multiplayer games, because you have your Fortnite and your Warzone and your
now what's it, Marvel's Rivals or whatever. There's these kind of certain games that have been in the top 5, 10 or whatever for a long time.
Yeah.
And you need the IP or the characters from, say, a Marvel game or the gameplay or whatever. You need that differentiation to break that barrier, because that is a stranglehold that is unlike anything in the single player space, right? Like, to take some players away from like the evergreen multiplayer titles is so much more of a task than it is with these other single player games. And the studios that are behind these popular multiplayer games, they are investing an enormous magnitude of resources, time, and development. Like, almost in its entirety now is supporting Fortnite, right? You just got people round the clock doing content and this and that, cats out on the map for this game. Call of Duty has how many studios helping it out? Like 7, 8, 9 studios. So there's
many, yeah.
Several thousand people who are committed to the upkeep of content, and even then, sometimes they still struggle. So for you to compete with that, and then soon having to compete with GTA 6 as well, even GTA 5 is still, still up there. It is a monumental and mammoth task that I don't think a lot of live service games are just up to. And maybe Bungie thought like the art style and the quirk or whatever would be enough, but that, to me, like, even when I saw it, I don't think that's anywhere near enough to compete with these titans.
Right.
Yeah, I think what would be my answer, like, again, I could be completely wrong, and it's sad to say, but I think what The Last of Us was going for, The Last of Us Factions 2,
yes,
I think there is a gap in the multiplayer market for hyper story-driven multiplayer shooting antics.
Yeah.
And the way they spoke about it was like the story and the world in this Factions 2 or whatever was more ambitious than even any of the single player games. And I think they're really
my heart all over again, Nib.
I know. I really think that there is a market for that, because the intertwining of that emotional storytelling beat where you're fully immersed because of story and with emotional beats and loss and tragedy and all of this other stuff while playing a multiplayer game, I think that could be the differentiating thing. But obviously, as we know from Naughty Dog, the problem is the upkeep to sustain something like that, and the content for that is astronomical. But I think if someone did have the resources and manpower and the time or whatever to do that, it could be a winning ticket.
See, but the thing is, go ahead. Oh, my boy Kofi.
Kofi,
good, bro?
What's up,
Kofi's joined the show.
I
Kofi,
like this
great to have you.
panel. I think everybody on this panel I've spent time with: Crab, Death Singer, Mooch, Nib, Persona Wise, Wooly. Really quick, I know I'm typically known as the RPG gamer, which is definitely a title at least I'll self-proclaim. But when I look at shooters and things that typically get exciting for me, I notice that even though there are some battle royale shooters that look very not interesting to me, I'll be very honest. Marathon looked okay. I probably will see what things are like where my friends might play. But there were other multiplayer shooters that are all coming out this year that don't have PvP, but have co-op that got me really excited. So the first one is the first-person shooter co-op game that's coming out in the world of Control called FBC Firebreak. I believe it's coming to Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra. As soon as I started to see the gameplay, I was like, "Oh, I'm calling my boys. This looks fun."
Yep.
Another one that has co-op that I think kind of doesn't get as much attention because of Doom is Painkiller. But we know that the Painkiller first-person shooter, it's a series that's been around forever.
Yep.
And the new one, it's got a whole campaign that you can play, with your friends. So usually, I'll be dead honest, first-person shooters are not high on my list, but that was two. Another one, a military first-person shooter that's been out on PC for 3 years in early access was Ready or Not. That's coming to consoles. That looks sick. I want to get in there and start doing all the crazy tactics and looking for bombs and getting shot at by terrorists and all that stuff. And then I think you guys already mentioned it, Borderlands 4. I missed out on Borderlands 3, but definitely interested in what they've been showing with this. So if it's not PvP, I feel like the market is potentially great, at least for somebody like me who kind of looks at FPSs from the outside. But when it comes to like
Arc
things like
Raiders as well, bro. That's an
Arc Raiders, yeah, that one looks good too. And I love the first what's the one that just got DLC? The first Division. First Division, I love that Dark Zone. That extraction style was really cool. I know that they are getting a DLC like what, next month or something like that for
next month Division 2 Battle for Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to Division.
See, but the common denominator to something that Nib was saying is all of the games that people are playing right now in terms of live service. When you look at Fortnite, Warzone, the new kid on the block, which is Marvel Rivals. What Marvel Rivals had going for it was obviously a lot of people were comparing it to Overwatch, which is very similar in its premise and its core mechanic, but where Overwatch 2 might have kind of fell short, Marvel Rivals picks up the slack because it's got the Marvel characters, right? So people can identify with that, but also the gameplay. All the characters are unique. The gameplay is very addictive, but then also content. They just dropped a new season with Emma Frost and all these different costumes and all these different things that you're doing. So the common denominator when it comes to all of these live service games is the gameplay loop. The gameplay loop has to be engaging enough, it has to look enticing enough to even pull somebody that might be a Fortnite player or might be a whatever player off, because the extraction shooter players, they're going to give this game a chance. But the real money, the real success comes from the player that wouldn't necessarily play this, but then feels enticed enough to want to play it because the gameplay looks that good. I don't see that as being something that, as of right now, Marathon will do a good job of doing, because it just doesn't it just isn't capturing enough for me personally. Now I could be wrong. I hope it finds success, but as somebody that isn't an extraction shooter player, like a hardcore extraction shooter player, Marathon did not rekindle or ignite a fire in me to say, wow, this is what extraction shooters are about. I gotta play.
I gotta get into this.
The alpha, the alpha did not do that.
I would say, just to piggyback, I agree, but I would also add that also the content unlocks and the progression, because I actually think Halo Infinite gameplay wise was solid. But I actually think it's one of the best playing Halos. And like the kind of extra emphasis on headshot multipliers and things like that, and just the general movement and hit detection and animations and aim assist, much better than Halo 5, in my opinion. But that content was dog shit. So I remember just like scrolling through the season pass or whatever, like all the unlocks, and how bizarre that you go through the entire, all the unlocks at every level when you get right to the end. And the whole timeline of it, you're just like, oh, I actually don't care for any of that. Like, it just is all shit. And I think the only thing that was cool was like some flaming thing or whatever, but it was just so bad because it was like, oh, you can unlock a grey bit that goes on your arm, and then you can unlock another bit that goes here and makes no difference, has no differentiating cool factor. And is rather dull. And it's just like, I think that was a death knell for that game, because even with gameplay, you've got to have the characters, the unlocks, and everything else. And I think Concord suffered from that a little bit. And so I don't know what the unlock situation is like with Marathon. I haven't played it. I don't know how much there's depth or content or progression there's going to be to it. But I think that is another really important thing. And one of the reasons I think that Destiny did do well, because maybe it lacked on the end game stuff, but there was a constant kind of like carrot on a stick thing where, I want the Galahorn, I want the Mytha, whatever it's called, the Mythiclass.
Vex Mythiclass.
Yeah. The it factor you want. You want unlock. And I had that with Apex Legends as well, where like some of the skins and the unlocks and the weapons, they're really elaborate and detailed and very different from the standard skins. So you feel more rewarded in unlocking them. Even little things like I've talked about before, like just Apex Legends, the fact that when you're on the loading screen, you have your banners, and the banners, you can unlock certain like skill-based banners, like 4,800 damage, or you kill 20 people in a single game, and little things like that. There's a sense of pride in showing that off. So, and I think like those Respawn and Call of Duty devs and the Fortnite devs, they understand that. They understand that like carrot on a stick. There's constantly something you're working towards, and something.
Yeah,
cool.
but Bungie. See, the thing is, Bungie understands that as well, because Bungie has also been in the live service business for over a decade or more. So I think they also understand what the do's and do nots when it comes to live service. But and again, this is an alpha, right? I can only speak off my experience of an alpha. I know that things can change with a full release of a title. Like, I'm not disputing that. But for my alpha, in my experience, I do not see this as something that I want to continue to play further or even invest in.
How
in the
was it
future.
unlocked and progression, out of curiosity?
It was
That's
okay.
a good question.
I mean, you had, so there's contracts that you can do with different factions. So there's one faction you get called Cyber Acne, and they give you a contract where I had to use like one of my super abilities and whatnot, and you could level up that faction to get certain things within the game for that. So there are things like that you can kind of work towards. In terms of the loot itself, and maybe I need to play more. The loot really didn't seem all that either. Like the black market stuff seemed all right, cool. The weapons, like, my favorite weapon was the machine gun, right? That I was getting in the open world. It was, it was really good, but I wasn't getting a whole lot of the other weapons. I didn't get a shotty or nothing like that. I did see a video of a shotgun that you could get that looked pretty good, but that might be something that entices a lot of people, but we'll see.
I'll be honest, like I haven't played the alpha, but for me, just visually, it's a real letdown. And I never really liked the art direction from the beginning. And I thought, okay, the little teaser snippet's pretty cool. Like it has like a Tron-like vibe. But then when I've actually seen the gameplay, and maybe when the game comes out, it'll be a different story because it's still alpha. Maybe they'll have a few more passes in the rendering and stuff. But like, it just looks like if you told me it was a past gen game, I would believe you. Like nothing about it screams next gen to me.
That was the problem. Yeah, that's the problem I kind of have there too, Nib. It didn't. There's nothing about it. So I'm watching Persona, I'm hearing him, and he's playing, and it was kind of flat. There wasn't a lot going on in the world. I heard him saying, "Well, I picked up this," and he's like, "I don't even know what this is." He's like, "This isn't that gun didn't even feel good when I used it. This one's all right. The loot wasn't really all." The other question I have for you guys, real quick, then we'll move on to the next subject here, is just I'm seeing everybody in the chat. By the way, guys, I'm reading everything you guys are writing. This thing's, it kind of screams free to play because they're going to charge you an arm and a leg in game, right? They're going to have things for you to buy. Like, I don't know. Unless they said they weren't. Persona, did they say they're not going to have anything for, they're going to have purchases, I think, in-game purchases, right?
Probably,
I mean,
I think there'll probably be in-game purchases. Like, I'm sure that stuff will happen. The whole free-to-play thing, because, a lot of people were saying this when it came to Concord. Oh, well, Concord should have released free-to-play because of this, that, and the third, whatever. And I don't think Concord releasing free-to-play would have helped that game at all. Because Concord, people already had their thoughts about the game, about the characters, about all these other different things. So I think for Concord, as much as I love Concord, I think it was doomed to fail out the gate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Free or not free. Yep. Like it was just doomed to fail.
Yep.
Marathon, on the other hand, because of the kind and caliber of studio that Bungie is, the weight they carry within the industry, the weight that this IP Marathon carries with its cult following, I think it will have more legs than that of a Concord. But again, should it be free to play? Value is in the eye of the beholder.
Facts.
If what you're seeing is something worth paying for, then people are going to buy it. But the market is going to dictate how this game is going to, does this game need to be free or not?
Right. That's right. But when you look at games, and I know everyone doesn't like, some people in the audience are liking this relation. Some people on the panel are not. I'm not saying it's like, Escape from Tarkov. but you have to have that. This game screams free to play in order to get people's interest up. And the reason I'm being somewhat positive to a certain extent is because I watched, I think Shroud was playing it and a few of the big others, and they were critical. They were definitely critical. Nobody said, I can't wait. This is the best thing. It's ready the way it is. Nobody said that. But there's hope, right? There's hope. I think that, you change a little bit of the, enhance what's going on in the world, make the quests more meaningful. If you're going to do the PvP, VE, make the E a little bit more, a little bit more of, I don't know how to put it, but it didn't seem like it wasn't very, I don't know, Persona, how do I put it? It just wasn't very difficult for you to beat the AI. And
it's not enough.
It's not enough there. It's not there.
It needs more action.
And it is an alpha. It is an alpha to so Willie, you're definitely being heard here too. It is an alpha, so I'm still gonna hold out hope.
Don't think I was defending I wasn't trying to
no, I understand.
Come across like I'm fighting to say the game's great. I'm not. There are major concerns that I have about the game. For example, I don't think the extraction mechanics for this game are hardcore enough to appeal to the Escape from Tarkov fans. Like, there isn't body, limb damage.
That's a good point.
Things like that. Yeah. And from what I've seen, I haven't seen great loot like Persona said. I haven't seen the reward that comes from that justifies the risk, and I haven't seen enough risk. The entire premise of an extraction shooter is risk reward, and that constant suspense. Hunt Showdown is low key my favorite multiplayer game, I think, on PlayStation of all time. It's like maybe Grounded and Uncharted 4 multiplayer might take the cake, but Hunt Showdown is right up there, right? Because it is just sensational, and the bosses, when you're killing a boss, you attract other players because they can hear your gunshots from miles away, and the audio is incredible.
Yeah.
And that constant game of chess playing with other players, it's just a thrill.
I was watching watching one of the big
right?
streamers, and they did make references to Hunt Showdown quite a bit. They did. They
Yeah,
said it has Hunt Showdown vibes. Like they weren't saying it's Hunt Showdown.
Well, I mean, I'll take what I can get, because Hunt Showdown is incredible.
I know you're a fan.
My concern is that there isn't enough of that quality extraction shooter mechanic that warrants what Hunt Showdown lacks in loot. It makes up for in risk reward, in terms of unlocking new character skins and weapons to take into the next game. But nevertheless, like, Marathon has an opportunity here to really kind of push the needle when it comes to end game loot, like really cool guns, really cool looking gear, stuff like that. And I haven't seen that yet, so I do have concerns about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, there's 4 maps, not 3 at launch. There is a roadmap, and I think it's important just to remember that this is a launch title. It's not.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but I think, and this is obviously, like, the general public doesn't know this, but Bungie is, like, even after the layoffs, over 1,000 developers. and I have to admit, when I see this product, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, yo, like, tell me they're working on something else major, because they can't even. You have to, because it's like, I'm looking at this and I think back to, like, Halo, right? And one of the big issues that has plagued Halo for a long time is the engine itself. And even, like, sort of switching to Slipspace, it just had the same issues. And I wonder, like, if some of that permeates with Bungie as well, because obviously fundamentally it's a similar engine, right? That 343 carried on. And I just wonder, like, maybe this engine is just a bit old in the tooth, and maybe it needs a complete revamp, or they need to switch to maybe something else. Like, I know Halo Studio is moving to Unreal 5 now. That's the rumor. But because again, like, I don't want to go back to, like, the visuals side of things, but eye candy matters, and aesthetics do matter, and you don't need to be, like, the most technically impressive, but you just need to have a distinct art style and a distinct visual character. And while this is unique, it's not good looking. I wouldn't say it's not aesthetically pleasing. And again, this is next gen only, right, or current gen only?
Yes.
Which again is like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing about it. Nothing about it looks like it's a AAA production, 1,000 plus developer team.
That's kind of what Persona, and I'm not putting words of Personas, but that's the thing. This is their next new thing. This is their next leap forward, Nib. And it's same thing. It's just, it doesn't look like I'm playing the Warzone Verdansk, right? And they've enhanced enough of it to where it looks crisp, clean. Yes, it's the old map. I understand that. But like, it does feel newer. This doesn't look like we're moving forward in any direction that we've mentioned so far. So
I will say generally, what is going on with Sony and live service, man? They're not having the best of luck in this area. I know they do have a few.
I'll tell you though,
GT7
but Nib, you
really
say that when you stop and think about it, right? So I mean, but who's has had success in it? And when you stop and say that, it's the same folks. If you really want to give somebody stand up and light a match for them, you'd have to. It would have to be for Vincent Pell.
Rivals did really well.
Well,
But come on, that's a Marvel IP, bro.
I was going to say, well, there's two things. Wait a minute, wait. No, that's the thing. And I mean, don't get me wrong. BG was on the show a couple weeks ago, and he's a big fan of it, and he made some really good points. Deathsinger was going back and forth as well. I mean, when it comes to that, you have exactly what Persona said. That's an Overwatch kind of, clone in a sense with a Marvel skin. I mean, that's destined to win. Not taking away because the developers made a fantastic game. But
you know why Marvel Rivals is doing so well? I'll tell you why.
What do you got?
Marvel Rivals is doing so well because Marvel Rivals developers, NetEase, they did their rollout the right way, where they had early access up to a year before the game launched, took feedback, made the necessary changes, and created the experience that will be in line with most players, which is why it's so obviously, yes, it being Marvel plays a big part, right? We're not going to take that away, but even with something that has Marvel on it, that doesn't mean it's going to be fun to play, right? People aren't going to just put up with shitty gameplay in the game just because you get to play as Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So that's still something that you need to. That's so Nib. Give that man a gold star. Yes, that's a great point.
Wait, what did he say?
He said, "What about Avengers?"
Is a great example.
Yeah, Avengers.
And I love Avengers, but Avengers crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a Marvel. That's Marvel. So it just because it's Marvel does not mean that it will be successful. You still need to have that, and that's why I say gameplay is king. It's very important.
Well, I think the other thing
that Marvel Avengers, they did all look like they came from Temu.
I was going to say you guys don't realize it, but in the game Avengers, I was Tony Stark. But that's the thing. That's the problem. I think that one had too is when you try to say same thing when Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best games that was made in a while in the Marvel universe. Right? I thought that was very good, but because they didn't have the faces and they didn't have the voices, it separates it, and it fought very diligently to get the sales that it even earned when it should have gotten much better in sales. I thought the Guardians of the Galaxy game was very, very good. But I think when it comes down to it, some people are saying what's going to happen to Fair Games if this doesn't hit. But what I was trying to say to Nib,
that's
right?
the other thing too, real, because Fair Games is also that's a heist shooter, right?
That's a heist, yeah. That's
bro. Listen, man.
What I will say,
Fair Games might go the way of Old Yeller. You hear what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Persona, you bring up such a good point that the rollout plan and having I hate to say it, 12 months of private access and feedback for a larger population, I think increases your chance at success. One free-to-play game that I don't think I would have ever even paid attention to, but I played the beta a year before it came out, was the first Descendant. Did anybody play that?
Yeah,
I played it.
I thought it was pretty fun. Now, I remember playing it in I think I'm getting my years mixed up. I think I played it in 2023, thinking if this comes out in the summer of 2024, I feel like there'll be fewer game releases to compete with, and it will do well. And it did pretty well at launch. I mean, I don't remember all the numbers and everything, but I think it released like in the middle of June or July, where there wasn't anything crazy, to compete with.
But look at games like No Rest for the Wicked. And Hades 2. Those games and Path of Exiles.
Oh, yeah, Hades 2, yeah.
Those are all games that are in early access right now.
Yep.
That are actively being worked on as they're taking feedback from people that are playing the game and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, come on, man.
Or Baldur's Gate 3. That was in early access.
That was early access too, yeah.
It was. It was.
Hey,
Yep.
Mooch.
Go ahead, Death Singer.
I do think we're still recovering from Jim Ryan, Jim Ryan's legacy. Like he got all these live services in development, and
It's not Jim Ryan though.
It's not.
Herman
It's
Hulse
really
is Herman Hulse is the head of the studios. So
yeah,
if
but
anything,
they've cancelled a load of live services since
which
Jim
is a
Ryan
good thing.
left.
Which is a good thing
100%,
because clearly those things would have crashed the bird.
But like Fair Games is a product of Jim Ryan, and so is flipping Marathon.
Yeah, but we don't even know what Fair Games how that looks, you know. So I'm not.
Right.
No, but I'm not confident about it, bro. I'm not confident.
I mean, no, I'm not confident in anything coming live service from PlayStation right now. To be honest with you.
It's lightning in a bottle. I've said this time and time again. All live service games, the only successful ones are lightning in a bottle. And even games like Helldivers 2 have only made enough return that justifies a very successful single player. And but what they're stuck with is a model they have to continually work on and detracts from making a new game. So
Helldivers has always been Helldivers like Arrowhead has always been making games like that. The only difference between Helldivers 2 is just it's more AAA-ish looking.
Yeah.
Where
I know that. What I'm saying is turns it's made. It's not even that's not deemed as anywhere close to as successful as it needs to be for longevity in the realm of like Fortnite.
This is the point I was going to make. Is the thing is that there have been First Descendants is a good example. You kind of get this swath of like the market that will dip in and try a new thing like a Splitgate or I think there's been Hyperspace and Knockout City, and there's been a few that like temporarily they were like did pretty well and then they just died out. And I think that's another thing, because having that initial kind of interest and exposure is one thing. Being able to maintain it is a completely different thing. Even Halo Infinite, again, like out the gate, it was very popular, you know, but the drop off was insane. Like the number of people who just dropped off playing that. So, and because like the upkeep is so expensive and the content and all this rest of it is so much to keep up with, like if you don't maintain that player base, it's a death knell and it's a costly one. So yeah, I mean, I'm really a bit nervous. I mean, I do feel like PlayStation is moving away from live service again. It kind of almost feels like, okay, these are the ones we already have in development.
That's it. It's an investment, and when people say, "Oh, we've moved on," I mean, these things take 3, 4, 5, 6 years to create, right? Depending on the teams.
Yeah.
So they're already in process. I mean, you can cancel them absolutely, and sometimes it saves face, but at the same time, if you have a confident team like Bungie, you put this game out there, and I know Persona's gonna literally throw tomatoes from the other side of New York and hit me with this, but like, to be honest with you, if Bungie's confident and they can prove it and they want to have it play the long game, and they say we're going to have 2.0 come out, 3.0, 4.0, and it starts to build an audience and it continues. But the thing about this is that I don't mind that necessarily, but you can't charge me $40 and say the end product's at 4.0, or you'll really like it when we get to 5.0. Then it's free to play. You can't charge me $40 and tell me to wait 3 years. That don't work that way. You know, like you can say that about.
Right? It's all. I think it's all about the approach, right? So if they were to say we're doing early access for Marathon, $30-$40, that's different than treating this as a full release experience,
correct,
and whatnot. Like there's levels to this, right?
That's right.
But at the same time, let me. I know the chat want us to move on, so I could talk about this all goddamn day. But let me
do this. Let me get that. Singer, you had some comments on this.
Oh, a shit ton. Right, that whole lightning in a bottle is bullshit, right? Because I think about it, like you need to know you need to just be good at making live service games. Because I think of Riot Games, right? Super successful MOBA, that's all they're known for, right? Now, you go up against CSGO, a tactical shooter genre. CSGO dominates it. So you go, okay, bet. Let's make a shooting game. Okay, cool. Skeptical. Shit is going from nothing but peak to peak. Like, it just recently celebrated 2 million concurrent players in China alone. Now, granted, Asia comes out and supports specifically League and Valorant, which is a benefit because they're massive over in China, South Korea, etc. But it's when I looked at Marathon, I was like, okay, I'm skeptical of every multiplayer game. I was skeptical of Marvel Rivals until I played the beta. And then I was like, okay, I see this. It's Overwatch with some interesting mechanics. And most importantly, the characters look good. Everything looks good. The gameplay's fun. It reminds me of peak Overwatch. I'm sold. Now, Concord didn't have that same thing, as we know. We already spoke about it. I'm not going to go over it. Now, Marathon, looking at it, and we were talking about this in the Discord, I had expectations. I was expecting it to be a bit quicker in terms of gameplay, because I'm so used to Destiny 2's multiplayer, right? I was expecting Destiny 2's multiplayer, but in an extraction shooter. It needs to be fast, it needs to be snappy, the guns need to feel good, I need to go in, smash people, get out, right? I didn't get that feeling watching it. I'm like, this just seems way too slow. The gunplay looked cool. The art style is whatever. I mean, nothing special.
Right.
But the biggest thing was the price tag. As soon as they said you have to buy it, oh no. They should be free to play. Like, you think of all of the best, the most successful, all of them are free to play.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, you're entering a realm, right? It's like opening up a pizzeria next to a steakhouse, and you're going to charge for a slice the same way they're going to charge for a New York strip. You if you want to be in the same neighborhood with these folks, you got to charge the same. You have to have the same product. They have the product. The product is the same as Escape from Tarkov, but they want to like charge for it. These games are not chargeable. You're gonna make your money in game. You're gonna get the Shrouds. You're gonna get the Nick Merckx. You're gonna get Tim the Tatman. You're gonna get these guys to play. They're gonna advertise this game. They're gonna make it what it is that you want it to be. But the point of the matter is that you can't charge the $40 like Persona said. And Persona said there's levels to this onion. You peel it back. If you're going to do what Hades did and you're going to do what these other games did and do it as an early access and say, okay, $35 now up front, and then you get this later, you get this later, you get this later, and you're getting perks also for being in early access. Yes, I get that. Totally. And then at the end, it'll cost somebody who wants to get it when they're done at version 1.0, it'll be $50. I don't know. I'm making these numbers up.
The thing about live service, and then, we can move on, Mooch. The thing about live service, games as a service, is it's a volatile market, period. It doesn't matter who's making the game, where it's coming from. The chances of it being successful are still up to probability. It's volatile. Like there is no guaranteed success in live service. And even when live service you do see success, how long you see that success is also not a guarantee either. It can be short-lived, even if you do everything right or check off all these boxes, that still doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll see long-term success. Few games do that from a live service perspective. But this is where people want to continue to put their eggs in when it comes to putting the eggs in this basket, because everyone's trying to create that continuous revenue stream of money coming in while still doing everything else. That's exactly
what I was saying with lightning in a bottle. That's pretty much exactly my point of what Persona's just said. It's a you've only got a few that have managed to pull that off, and yet everybody's trying to do it. It's stupid. It's like putting all your money into the lottery because somebody's won it.
A little bit.
It's just stupid, bro. It's just.
I think the one thing.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I think that is it though, Willie. Is because you said the lottery. Yes, the risk factor is high, but the reward is astronomical if you do get it right. It's like the golden goose, right? Like to get that golden goose, you're sorted. We're talking like multiple billions per annum.
Yeah, like a Genshin Impact, right?
Yeah, it's a different level of success. And then the thing is, like, it's a recurring residual revenue that you make off like really mundane shit, because like microtransactions is so profitable for, you know, like what, like you're selling skins and shit like that. Like,
yeah,
it's,
I mean,
it's like
you'll see people on social media posting about their roles for rare items in these games. Like, they're like, oh, you know, I got it.
It's weird, like, because like my cousin, like, sorry, my brother-in-law, like, I remember when he was like 14, or just turned 14, he was turning 14, and I said, like, what do you want for your birthday? And I may have said this before on this show, but you know, I'm thinking he's gonna say like trainers or like some new Jordans or something like that, right? And he's like, oh, I want some skins on Fortnite. And I'm like, there's hell no, am I going? And they're like £20-30 for some skins on Fortnite. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I'm like, something else. I ain't getting you that. Then he's like, oh, buy me some packs on FIFA. I'm like, oh my god, just kill me now. I'll buy you a game,
bro. They got him. They got him, bro.
They got him.
You know, the one thing. Go ahead, Jensinger.
They have to get. They do get everyone. Like Riot Games got me hook, line, and sinker because. Sure, the game has been out. It launched in 2009, and it's hit its best ever player count, right? So think about that. It's been going since 2009, and the shit is still super hot, like the hottest shit going. And then they got me though because I have like 1,000 skins now. Yeah, 1,000.
Yeah, I was going to say. Let me just interrupt you. Wooly, this is the thing. Dessinger, can you just tell us how much you've spent on the game?
I'm not gonna no.
Right, I already get a gist of how much you probably spent on that game. You know what's so freaking ironic? I just got around for 1 second, right? What's so freaking ironic about all of this is 5-6 years ago, everyone lost their freaking minds over Battlefront 2 having loot boxes and laughing and mocking Fortnite for its free-to-play model. People going, it's trash. I want to pay for my games and I want what I pay for.
Yeah.
But now everybody doesn't want to pay for games and they want that trash from 5-6 years ago. Bro, it's like the freaking bro, I am so like, what is going on?
Well, that goes back. Yeah, but Willie, that goes back to what I was saying to Nib a while ago with creativity and where we are. The problem is the market has changed to where you're right. Everything you said was right. So Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, these other games that are out there right now, PUBG. It doesn't matter. It goes on and on. Just put on Twitch and take a look and see what's the top games right now. Marvel Rivals. Okay. So they're all free. Now, don't get me wrong. Willie, I have absolutely no problem paying for a game. No problem at all. You know, the one thing I will say about Marathon, and shout out to James who's listening. When we were streaming, we were talking about, okay, if we're going to stream, what are we going to do here? And I'm like, okay, I definitely want to do Warzone, but I definitely want, the one thing about Marathon, I think, is it's going to be polarizing. I think it's going to grow. I hope that Sony gives them a chance to grow. I hope the game gets that opportunity. They don't just cut it. But I think that's the one thing that's going to keep Marathon quite interesting. You know, Destiny, and I'm not comparing the two, but Destiny was very polarizing. Remember those people, they loved it, and there's people who absolutely hated it.
You know what's so sad, Mooch?
That carried through a generation.
So sad, bro? You know what's so sad, Mooch, about everything? Get Marathon in its current bare bones state, day one state, and throw in some 20 quid really cool skins in the microtransaction store, and everybody's going to lap it up and love the game. Guarantee it. Because if it's got cool skins that are super expensive, that's all people care about now. That's the end game. How cool can my character look?
That is the end game.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Bro, it's a parody. It's a parody. We're living in a parody. and Death Singer is a walking game-playing parody.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I spend it on it because I find it's competitive, ranking up. It's a highly competitive game. It's as toxic as the old Call of Duty.
Wait a minute, wait.
Funny.
Death Singer, I missed it. I missed it. Are you talking about
Call My Money?
Are you talking about League of Legends?
I am, yes.
Okay.
And the reason is I want to look good whilst I'm styling on you. I don't want to just beat you. I want to be dancing on your corpse at the end of the game looking fly.
If you guys in the audience do not appreciate Death Singer on this panel, you guys are missing out. He is absolutely one in a million.
I probably spent like 3,000, 4,000 on League.
Oh my God!
Probably in that time period. So, but bear in mind, I've been playing it that's over like 8 years, right? So, I mean, I've been doing my thing.
Hey, listen, this is a no judge zone here, so you're good.
I mean, it's no judge because it's my life game.
That's right.
All I can say, bro, is don't ever expect me to take your nuanced arguments against Marathon seriously. That's all I'm saying.
No. Actually, we have to address that. Fuck all my buying habits. Stop pocket watching. What I spend on is what I spend on, right? So I need you to sit down real quick. Marathon, we'll see if it's good, because generally I have a feeling. I called it on Concord. People said no. Shit flop, right? I'm getting a
feeling. It needed boobs in it. That was your argument. You said that like 3 months ago. It didn't have boobs in it. That was the reason it failed.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons. And guess what?
It's
I was
the
right.
reason.
I was right. I mean,
I know you were right, but that's my point. That's my entire argument.
But it's because I am actually, playing these games, and I realize, like, when I look at Marathon, the gameplay, I'm like,
it doesn't have boobs. I get it. It's okay.
No, it's not even that. I just don't see it. Like, I have an expectation. Now, sure, you could say, okay, this isn't Destiny 2, so don't expect the same multiplayer gameplay. But having played that, I expect Bungie to put their best foot forwards in terms of the gameplay department, because Destiny 2 PvP is phenomenal. Oh, you can say what you want about the meta and the supers and the whatever. The fundamental gameplay is peak.
Yeah.
Now you give
that's what Persona's saying with Loop, but you gotta,
I'm looking at Marathon, and I don't have the same feeling I have for Destiny 2. This is a problem. So we have to see how it goes.
I was looking for the next evolution of Destiny 2 PvP, right? And from what I've seen, you're right, and Will, you've said this a number of times on the show. You're not wrong. I have not played it yet, so I'm still holding, last judgment till I play. But I thought, like that singer said, this is where we were coming from. Persona said it. Persona played. I think Persona has probably thousands of hours in Destiny. Like, to say this is your next, like anything, if the six of us that are remaining on the panel right now made an unbelievable game like Destiny 2, right? And then we said, and everyone gave us, critical acclaim. We definitely got some backlash too in that process. And now we're making the next great thing. Like you look at The Witcher 3, and I understand Cyberpunk 2077 came out with it was broken, right? The return games, bad press, all of it. But with all of that bad, they took what was an unbelievably large RPG and adored Witcher 3. And listen, say what you want. Cyberpunk now it's breathtaking. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. It's just an unbelievable piece of work. So CD Projekt Red took that talent to the next level. The question I ask is Bungie taking their talents to the next level after Destiny? And from what I'm seeing, and it is an alpha, so it's not a final judge. It's not what I thought we would see. It should be something that ropes me in. You're going to play this game, Mooch. You're playing this. And I'm right now I'm going more on, I think it'll be polarizing. That's not how I should be selling a game.
That's true. Like I said, as soon as I hate to throw it out there again, but as soon as I saw FBC Firebreak, I know it's not like a battle royale game, but as soon as I saw the gameplay, I was like, how much does it cost? I might go buy that pre-order right now.
Right.
I guess just the world and how immersive it felt, and I didn't get that same emotion when I saw Marathon. I was like, oh, I got to investigate and read about what mechanics might be available, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's just me on
I was just going to say one thing on Destiny. I'm not pocket watching. It's just interesting data, right? As in, why are they trying to chase this golden goose? So, for example, the PS4 attach rate is 9.6, right? So across all PS4 players, roughly each PS4 owner roughly bought 9.6 games across its entire user base on average. This $4,000 that Destinger spent on League of Legends is the equivalent to 57 $70 games. 57. Now I'm being conservative because most people, a lot of people buy games on sale, right? So maybe his $4,000 is equivalent to 100 or 150 game purchases, right? But if you imagine the average PS4 owner bought 10 games, and his is equivalent to like his spend on League of Legends as alone is equivalent to like 60 to 100 games. That is why they are chasing the golden goose.
He's the whale.
Because literally, like it's 10 times, 100 times more.
I think it's
a great point,
I'm not even the whale because they released the Faker exclusive Hall of Fame skin, and that will cost that skin. The package will cost you $500, right? It costs $500. I didn't buy it.
What am I listening to? Yeah.
I refuse to pay that, but people bought it in the boatloads, mainly in South Korea. But that's because you have to understand the esports aspect. And Faker is essentially one of the biggest celebrities in South Korea. He's no longer a gamer. He's a legit celebrity. Like, people will take photos, paparazzi, the whole lot. All he does is play League of Legends. But, hey, man, that's their culture over there. So, of course, when he releases a skin, people are going to go, I'll buy it, yeah, because I absolutely love this dude. So, it's essentially that kind of thing. Like, League of Legends goes beyond that. Like, I love watching the esports and whatnot. There's these people at the pinnacle of skill. But at the same time, I didn't buy that because I didn't see the value in it. But, it sold out and did really, really well for him. And it is what it is. Bear in mind, I don't spend much in other multiplayer games. This is my main multiplayer game. It's not like I spend money in Call of Duty. I spend money in this game and that game. All the money I spend on microtransactions is just focused on this one game. Oh, okay, I do spend a little bit in Fortnite, but that's because there's, one collaborations.
Yeah, but listen, the amount you spend is it's high. It's
I earn it to spend it.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm really glad and relieved to hear you say you didn't see the monetary value in a £500 microtransaction skin. It's quite a relief. To be honest,
going at Destinger specifically, but I will say, like, at the end of the day, the market dictates things, and I think as consumers, the general market, we've kind of fucked ourselves. Like,
that was my entire
because even I think this about digital, and I know all the digital people are going to go at me like, "Oh, fuck you," but like to me, and I know this is going to be a bit of a hot take. Like to me, basically out of laziness and because we couldn't be bothered to get up and change a disc, we have foregone slowly the rights of our games, the ability to resell, trade, ownership, lend, borrow, all these other good things that are fundamentally beneficial to ownership and to the flexibility of gaming. We've foregone that just because we want a bit of convenience. And when I think about like microtransactions, and like you said about Battlefront, unfortunately, they're laughing all the way to the bank because the consumers have decided that, do you know what? We will spend £20 on a fucking skin, whereas back in the day,
Microsoft were right all along.
You got people complaining about $70, $80 games, but like, these Alexes, oh no, it's Alexes and Astro. And I'm like, bro, you guys have missed the forest for the trees. You're complaining about $70 games with budgets of 150, 250, 300 million, whereas there's skins that probably cost like, I don't know, $150 to make of someone's time, or maybe a bit more, like a few $100 or whatever. Maybe someone spent like a week on it, or a few days, or even a few hours, and that shit is selling for £20. Like, you guys have already missed the forest for the trees. The consumers have already told us in so many ways that they are already willing to spend more. And we even have that with hardware, with like resale on fucking PS5s and this cat's out on the mat. It will be the same with the Switch. It's like constantly consumers are saying, you know what? We ain't that interested in saving money. We just want what we want.
Yeah, like, it's funny you say you do.
Go on.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. That's here.
It's like, can you blame me though? It's like the Fortnite recently released Hatsune Miku into Fortnite. Now, I instantly stopped what I was doing, booted up Fortnite, and bought the skin. Why? Because I'm a fan. It is what it is. I'm a fan.
Mhm.
If you know about Hatsune Miku, good on you. If you don't, go inform yourself.
I was waiting for you to say, go look it up.
But the thing is, it's like they do a bunch of collabs, and I skip a lot of the collabs because it's like whether I'm interested in this. It's like, but they catch what is popping right now, and they get you because they hit you in the feels. You're like, when, for example, Kratos, right? When they released that in Fortnite, tons of people booted that up just to get Kratos. Do they play Fortnite? Probably not. Do they play it casually? Yeah, probably. Do they want to look like Kratos in the game? Yeah, they do, because they know who Kratos is. So, they understand that kind of thing. And bear in mind, it's also the art and just looking cool. Just looking cool. Like, when you look at some of the artwork for some of the League of Legends skins, you look at it and it's like, this is just beautiful. I want to own this because I want to look like this.
So maybe the end goal is for us to see a developer not charge for microtransactions like a No Man's Sky. Just constant free updates.
Yeah.
Beautiful community that's very supportive. Or like Warframe. Well, actually, Warframe has microtransactions.
I agree with you, but I think that's a very unique case because they had so much PR backlash that he was kind of trying to turn things around, right? So I think that was kind of like a goodwill thing. Like, I want to clear my name and I want to have that goodwill earned back, so I'm willing to do this.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think that will be the norm. But there are pockets of that even with PlayStation. So I know PlayStation gets a lot of stick, rightly so, for some of their pricing and some of their whatever, as does Nintendo. But even PlayStation actually consumer friendly sort of content rollouts as well, like GT7. I'm still playing that shit today.
Heck yeah, GT7 for life.
Yeah, I mean, what have we got? Like 157 cars or something free since it launched.
Yeah,
I feel like almost every 3 months there's a free update.
Exactly, countless cafe and content updates, and then we had like God of War Valhalla.
Yep.
Ghost of Tsushima, Legends, that was completely free.
Legends was free. Yep.
Yeah, I put like 30, 40 hours into it. Returnal Ascension was completely free. Whole bloody expansion, basically. Then recently, Astrobot has had non-stop constant content rollouts from they actually do a lot of pro-consumer sort of content that probably has very high production. Like God of War Valhalla, I think it took me like 10, 11 hours. And to me, that felt almost like a AAA expansion. Like from story, from bosses, from the gameplay, like it was phenomenal. It was I put so much time into it. I actually put it in my Game of the Year, like top 25, because I was like, I've put enough time into this that I think it deserves a spot, because there's full AAA games, like a Hellblade 2 or something. I'm not knocking it because I actually enjoyed it. But, where it took me like 6-7 hours, and then this expansion that was free, I spent 11 hours on, So I think people forget that sometimes, that like even Sony, being as they are, do still offer a lot of pro-consumer tidbits. And Astrobot is like a fantastic example, because like I feel like every few months there's something awesome to play in that game, and I love it even more for that.
Let me just change subject real quick, because I want to ask Kofi a question. Nib, I'll kind of segue on one of the things you said when you said we're kind of, for laziness, just giving up on, and you were right on the digital to physical. And what's funny though, the only counter I have to that point was physical now is still only a key. So we would have, that battle may have gotten lost anyways, if you know what I'm saying. So, even if everyone says I don't mind getting up to change the disc, well, the disc is really just a key. So
I would agree with you, but from in terms of like semantics aside, it still has the same thing, has the same end result, because even Nintendo, even though there is not physically a game on the cartridge, the way it works in terms of ownership and sharing is the same. So if you lend it to someone,
that's correct. Yeah.
So that, I understand, and I do think that is a really shitty thing that the full data isn't on there, but in terms of the purposes of flexibility of ownership and what you can and can't do with that product, those things are still available, and I think like it is a shame that we are squandering that, and maybe in 5-10 years time, like the physical ownership will be so diminished that we won't have that anymore. And I guarantee you, when that time comes, the screws are going to be tightened and will be taken even more advantage of with pricing.
Yeah. So
and you were talking about. Oh, go ahead, Mooch.
No, go ahead, Kofi, because I'm gonna ask you a question on Switch 2 in a second. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you were saying having just a key on a disc. You were talking about Switch 2?
I was referring to a lot of. I understand you're going to say PS5 because I see Mr. B in the chat going, wait. He goes, no, the full game is on the disc. That's, I believe, PlayStation, yes, but not Xbox.
On PS5, not on Switch 2.
Correct, not Xbox.
Not Xbox.
Which is
so
secretly...
Not Xbox and not Switch 2, yeah.
Right. So that I'm sorry, Mr. B. I should have been more. I was trying to just say to Nib that maybe even if we all put our foot down, which was what he was saying, and we were like, no, we don't mind to get up. We're not lazy enough to not just change the disc. Eventually, we may. I'm not going to say never speak in absolutes. We may have still lost that battle anyway because the cartridges are now a key, and with a lot, if not all, the Xbox games, they're a key. So I understand that PlayStation still has the entirety of the game on the disc. So I'll just clarify. Thank you, and Kofi did clarify that as well. No problem, Mr. B. He goes, my bad. No, my bad. I should have said. I was just saying. Eventually, I thought we would have lost that war. Anyways, we'll see what happens with PlayStation. They're the last ones to hold out. Kofi, I do want to ask you on Switch 2 pre-orders. They went live today in the U.S. I didn't get one. Listen, you guys know this. I always will get up. I generally go wait in line. Definitely, get an early spot in line. I was unable to do that today. I was not able to get up and do that. So I actually called a GameStop that was down the road, and they were so busy. They're like, I said, can you just tell me, is there like 10 people in line? They're like, I can't see the end of the line. I was like, all right, then I'm not going to leave work to go and do that. So I didn't get a pre-order today. Will I try over the weekend, or if something pops up and they're like, hey, GameStop got another 10 in each store? Sure, I'll go out there and give it a good try. But Kofi, do you think that this is going to be a situation? I think the hype and the fact that they took the pre-order away, then it came back, pricing remained the same. Do you think people like me who did not get a pre-order on launch day still have a shot? Or is this going to be like the original Wii, where it went a few holidays where you were just like lucky if you were able to stumble onto one?
Man, I think it's going to be somewhere in between. And the reason I say that is I believe Nintendo chose wisely to release this in the summer and not in the fall, where the casual people who are looking for Christmas gifts are scrambling to buy something for their niece, nephew, brother, sister. So for between June 6th or whenever the release date is and Christmas, I think that alleviates that pressure, right, that would occur right around October or November, where people have 2 weeks to figure out what the gift's going to be. What's the big thing? What's all the hype?
Yep.
Combine that with Nintendo's experience with knowing what the demand is, tracking these pre-orders. So by the time, let's say some games come out in late summer and you don't want to buy a Switch, right? You're like, yeah, I'll get it maybe, September. I think Nintendo will have exactly an idea of how many shipments need to be coming in by that point. So I don't think it's going to be as hard as some people may assume, who are pre-ordering really quickly out of maybe like FOMO or,
FOMO, but yeah,
miss out.
Yeah. Or not miss out, but just feel like whether they say scalpers might get a bunch of them, then they're going to go fast. And then it's going to be like that not Wii U, but the Wii. The Wii was a very difficult console to get after it caught fire.
Yes, it was.
So, Persona, I'm interested to hear your take on this, Persona, because I listen to your show, I listen to your live show. You are PlayStation focused. I know you have respect for Nintendo games. Are you getting a Switch 2 Persona? And if the answer is no, it's no. If the answer is yes, is it day one, or it's, whenever you just happen to see a couple of games? Because the first 3 big games that are announced, let's be honest, okay, in Donkey Kong, and you also have Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart. Mario Kart is going to be Switch 2, Donkey Kong Switch 2, but Metroid Prime 4, which is, pulling at the heartstrings of many nostalgic Nintendo gamers like myself. But I've had a Nintendo since day one, like day one Nintendo 1980, whatever it was, the 84, 85. Like, hear me out for a minute. Like, I can still play Metroid Prime if I wanted to, 4 on my Switch that I have now. So how does the games that are coming out and the lack of being able to lock down a pre-order affect you getting a Switch 2 this year?
Yeah, yo, Mooch, you need to get into interviewing, man. You definitely. I like how you set your questions up, man. You
Thank
set
you,
them
man.
up real nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, first of all, I don't know what the hell is wrong with these retailers putting shit up at midnight. Like
Right?
people don't got like lives and getting up for work and going to the gym early in the morning. Like I wasn't staying up no midnight to try to pre-order, so I couldn't get it from there. I tried to get it from GameStop today. For some reason, GameStop's IT infrastructure don't know how to set up AWS EC2 instances in auto scale so that people can actually get through to pre-order this shit. And so, yeah, there's that. So I wasn't able to get it. It would have been day one if I would have been able to get it from one of the retailers. So yeah, and I do want it because Donkey Kong Bonanza in itself. Big fan of Donkey Kong.
Yes, sir.
Donkey Kong Bonanza looks awesome.
Yes, sir.
Mario Kart Worlds, I'm a big Mario Kart fan as well. And then Metroid, those are all day ones for me personally.
Yeah.
Plus, I do want to play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2, see how that looks and whatnot. So for me, it is a day one if I can get one, but I'm also not clamoring. Like if I can't get it day one, it's really because PlayStation really got me super busy right now anyway. So I'm not it's no skin off my back if I can't get it day one. I will say this though, going forward, nobody can speak on anything price related again.
Speak to it
because
speak to
it. This shit is sold out. It's sold out. The Mario Kart bundle sold out. The regular Switch 2 sold out. The games are being sold and people are buying Mario Kart and this and that and all that. Listen, man, all that complaining about drop the price and cut the bullshit, man. Knock the bullshit off.
Let's
man.
stop.
Like it's over, man. All right. Like any talks about price this and this, like you still gonna buy it.
That's right.
You still gonna buy it, and that's just what it is. And that's fine, right? But don't get on here virtual signaling if you still buying the shit that you claiming you don't like the price for it to be. That's all I'm saying.
I'm so glad you brought that up because we went through this with the $500 consoles, then we went through this with the Pro, and everybody was throwing shade at Nintendo for the $449 and the $499 bundle. And here you had this. You guys are all on X, just like I am. You saw the pictures around the corner. Around the corner.
Every single conversation
the market has spoken.
That's right. About price.
The market has spoken.
I did want to add one thing. And this isn't like I'm not being political. I'm just talking like facts here. Because the reciprocal tariffs have been paused for 90 days, Trump's reciprocal tariffs, which would apply, I think, if I remember correctly, it was 47 or 48% to Vietnam and roughly similar to Cambodia. And those are two of the countries that the majority of Switch 2 manufacturing is involved. Now, obviously, we don't know if in 90 days the tariffs will come into place or if it's just negotiating and maybe they never come into play. But if they do come into play, the Switch 2 price will go up and it probably will go up quite substantially. It may not go up 46%, but because retailers may eat some of the cost, but it will probably go up at least 20%. So I would say if you are one of those who are interested in the Switch, maybe do buy it before I think the date is 18th of July or 23rd of July, something like that, when the 90 days is up, because you do not want to wait till you don't want to take the chance that just in case the tariffs do come into play, everything may go up. So if if you are interested, maybe get it now or before July at least.
No, that's definitely advice in keeping your ear to the ground on that, Nib. That's a good point. I think when it comes down to it too, I just want to reiterate kind of what Persona said. I think that the whole this like it seems like a fake. It's just a false narrative. Like everybody being like, I can't believe this costs so much. I can't. And and Detzinger, you said it earlier. Like pocket watching. Like people constantly be like I got the Pro. I traded in I had two PS5s. I traded them both in. I got Pros, and I think it was one of the greatest moves I made. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm enjoying the Pro.
The value is there if you want it. It's like me personally, I'm like a big fan of, as I keep saying, like CD keys and whatnot.
Right.
Big fan. It's because it's like if I do not have to pay 70, if you said, "Oh, you can have this thing for 60," Am I gonna go? No! I won't take it off your hands for 60. Here's 70.
No, of course not.
Stupid.
Of course
I'd be
not.
absolutely stupid to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do what is in my best interests and my financial interest, which is if I don't have to pay 70, I'm not gonna pay you the 70 because I don't have to.
Absolutely.
Now, unfortunately, console is different, and this is where the disconnect between.
But you'll pay $4,000, right, Deathfinger?
Well, yeah.
No.
I mean, but then again, it's like people will buy three PS5s. I mean, and like 100%. So, and they'll buy a Portal, they'll buy the headset, they'll buy the
absolutely.
So like, people.
I got 12. I got like 15 controllers. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. See what I mean? So it's people will spend whatever they want to spend. So I don't see why people are like, oh, it's 90. Yeah, well, you don't have to buy it. No one's telling you have to pay money.
Would you want 50? Unless you're collecting them. Obviously, I understand if you're a collector. Like, cool.
Collecting controllers is a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I collect the controllers.
Okay, fair enough. You're not like switching between 15 controllers.
Hell no. Hell no. None of them have been open. Those are all just collectors.
Yeah, that's different. Then I get it. I can get it.
Yeah, I collect too.
Well, I mean, I definitely have some that I still have in the box, but I do sometimes we'll go between them. I got the Astrobot one over there. I got the Midnight Black one over there. I mean, I don't have 15 of them, but I probably got about 7 or 8.
I got
controllers.
4. I got what 5. I got 5 Pro controllers because I got 2 30th anniversaries, the black and 2 whites.
Oh damn!
I got like 12 or 13 regular special edition DualSenses.
I got the 2 DualSense Edges. I just like especially for shooters. I think it's crazy if you're enjoying your shooters, man. It's crazy not to get one of those. And I said the same thing for Xbox. I have 2 Xbox version 2s. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna play that type of game, listen. Not saying you have to, just saying the weight of it. It's just the whole thing is just right. The paddles on the back. You can reduce your RT, LT, R1, R2, however you want to look at it. It's just that kind of. I think those kind of mechanics, that structure of that controller is just bar none. So I definitely could see that. I don't, Death Singer. I already know your feelings on Nintendo. I don't believe you're probably getting a Switch anytime soon.
No, I got one.
Oh, you did get one.
When the pre-orders went live because they gave me what I wanted.
Oh, that's right. You got yours earlier. That's correct. I apologize. That's right.
They was talking my language. See, if they said games will still be 30, they could fuck right off. But they were like, here's the frame rates. And I'm like, okay, you're giving me what I want. Thank you, Nintendo, for giving me what I wanted. Now I will get your console and I will play the games. Because the reason why I was doing what I was doing on PC is because I get to play these games at 60 frames per second, which is my expectation and standard.
Right.
In video gaming. But then it's now they're going, well, you can have 120, you can have 60. I'm all in.
So I'll go around the room real quick here. So, Wooly, are you getting a Switch too?
Probably not, mate. I barely play my Switch, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I only pick it up like once every couple of weeks for a couple of hours tops. I don't know, bro. Like, I struggle to commit to handhelds nowadays. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, I got bored quite quickly with it. I don't know, mate. I'm too old for these sandbox open worlds nowadays.
Mm-hmm. No, listen. By the way,
I prefer having my handheld. No, but on a serious note, I prefer like Clair Obscur. It's just it's got me dragline and sinker, and all I can think about is Death Stranding 2. And,
well, it's funny. It's funny. No, Willie, and don't get me wrong. I think sometimes people. I'll ask people that on the channel, whether it be the new Xbox, new PlayStation, new Nintendo, and it's always in a like, well, geez, I don't think I'm going to do. It's not every game is for every person. Not every console's for every person. So I completely understand that. I myself personally also don't play Nintendo a lot. I just kind of feel like I've always had Nintendo in my house. I like Mario Kart is the one. Honestly, it's crazy because when I say this, you're gonna all think I'm nuts. But having Mario Kart in the house, and I usually go home with a couple of extra controllers too, because man, I'll have 4, 6, 8. However, the Switch 2, if it's going to allow 8 players, we're going to have 8 players on the couch, all just kind of playing. You know, any family comes over. It's amazing.
Get one for my daughter.
You know, it's a lot of fun.
For my daughter when she's older, definitely. So it'll probably be a bit cheaper by then.
I don't know about that.
But yeah, maybe not. This is Nintendo.
It's Nintendo we're talking about here. I don't think so.
I will say, speaking of being irresponsible, like money-wise, because I actually don't play my Switch that much as well, but I will always pay for quality, and I have to be honest, and I hope no one at Nintendo, obviously they have heard it, because I would pay a silly amount for Zelda. Like, I would pay more for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, etc., or a Super Mario, because those are some of my favorite games ever made.
Absolutely.
Ever made. And like when I talk about because I'm sure we've all played shitloads of games, right? And we probably played several thousand games, if we're honest, right, over the course of our lifetime. So for a game to get into your top 50 or even top 20, right, it's an astronomical feat. And how can you put a price on that? Like Breath of the Wild is in my top 10 of all time out of thousands of games.
So Breath of the Wild or Breast of the Wild? Hold on. I thought I heard
I enjoyed Breath of the Wild a lot more than Tears of the
That's
Kingdom
the Persona. That's the mod version of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the PC will.
That's the modded version.
Like that.
No one's made a mod of.
That singer's like, let me correct. That singer goes, let me correct you guys.
Definitely make some shit like that. Breath of the Wild.
I can confirm nothing like that has been done.
Yet.
The thing is, the only mods that have been done is fixes to frame rate and stuttering that happens sometimes, and minor tweaks to the performance and whatnot. Like you need one of the cracks to get it to go above 60 FPS.
Be great. It'd be great if one of the big modders was listening to the show and they're like, "Get on that." You know what I mean?
No, it's because there's no market for it. Like, if you were going to make some mods like that, you'd target games like Stellar Blade.
Hey, listen. The modders know if they made some shit like that, Nintendo would sue their ass.
There would probably be a problem.
The thing is, though, when Stellar Blade comes to PC, you ain't seen nothing yet. That game, that game is
Nintendo is one company. I don't think modders should ever mod their game.
I don't even want to know Death Singer's search history, bro. Flipping out, bro.
I do find it funny. Again, I'm not judging PC gaming because do whatever is fun, right? But it is funny to me that we can't even find the time to play all these amazing games because let's be honest, there's too many great games right now,
right?
To play. But it is funny to me that people would sit there and spend hours tinkering with mods and turning people into boobies and fucking doing all this weird shit instead of playing all these amazing games.
And then you don't want to play the game. Once you've done it, once you've modded, you don't want to play it, Ned.
The thing is, you mod the game mainly for extra gameplay, mainly for extra assets, but it's like I take Final Fantasy VII Integrate, right? I was playing that. Now, having Barrett be the Master Chief is the most hilarious shit you'll ever see because he fits the Master Chief skin so damn well.
I get that. You look at it. Playing Barrett as Master Chief, you could be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or Clair Obscur Expedition 33 or Monster
Hunter. Then again, you say that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 mods, but they're quality of life mods. If something's really annoying, for example, Witcher 3, they release mods, but it's where you're limited in fast travel. You can only fast travel to the road signs.
Yeah.
And it's limited.
Yes.
Well, people are like, I don't want to be limited. I want to be able to, like other games.
But only PC gamers find that annoying. Only you find that annoying, bro. Because everybody else, everybody else views that as a gameplay mechanic, as part of the experience.
Thing is, though, quality of life and stuff like that is not only to cover mistakes by the developers, because if you look at games like The Last of Us that released on PC, they fucked that up royally, and people have to go behind them and fix that shit. Because, like Starfield, for example, the community had to put DLSS on the game. They couldn't even get that right on PC. So, people have to come behind these developers who are sloppy as shit.
So wait, let me ask you
right there. And I think that is unacceptable on PlayStation and any publisher, right? Because it's weird. Like I know the platforms like PlayStation, Nintendo, they all do stuff that is like questionable and let's just say worthy of criticism, right? But that to me is also bollocks. Like imagine like having to go and spend your own personal time to fix a game because a publisher or a developer didn't care enough to put the effort in. That would piss the shit out of me. And
Nib will be right back. There he is.
Sorry, it's crazy to me that people are having to like fix their games. Like I remember Silent Hill 2, it had like the remake on PC, like it had the constant micro stuttering or whatever, the traversal stutter. And I remember people like had to mod it to fix it, which is absurd to me. It's like, imagine you having to fix your own game. It's like you buying something from a shop and it's broken and you're expected to come home and fix it. That, it's just crazy to me.
So let me ask you guys a question. This is one thing, and I'll start with Kofi. Let me ask you, if Kofi, of course, Kofi's getting a Switch too. Kofi, the one thing that the big push for Switch 2 was the third-party games, right? We're going to go back to where you guys will kind of laugh here a little bit, but like Wii U had Call of Duty on it, I believe. And now we're going to be going back to third-party games. But like there's been certain people that have been able to test some of these third-party games. And I'm not saying this is gospel, by the way, guys, so don't flip out on me. But like, you're seeing Cyberpunk and all these, like, the lure to Switch 2 is of course first party. But like one of the big sales pitches is that we're going to have a lot more third-party games this generation, which I think is good. I do think that's very good. But I what do you think, Kofi? I don't think that we're seeing disappointing performances coming from third-party games. Does that impact, do you think, certain people's decisions? I don't see anybody saying, "Oh wow, Expedition 33 is coming out." I think shout out to Aaron who's in the chat. Aaron goes, "I'll play." He didn't say it this way. I'm paraphrasing. I'll play Expedition 33 when it comes to, Switch 2. And it's like, it's like I don't think the third party is the push. I know it's a moneymaker for publishers, right? Because they're like, wow, let's say they get to another 150 million sold consoles. That's another 150 million customers. So of course that's a great place for them to be. So I'm not saying the publisher shouldn't, but is that really a big push? I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're only a Switch owner only, sure, you would like to play, Borderlands 4 on your Switch too.
I don't think it's the number one priority. I think if I were to rank their priority, it would be 2 or 3 because they've seen when they get third-party support. For example, during the Switch life cycle, one of the third-party games that I thought performed really well on Switch was a Monster Hunter. What was the one? It was Sunbreak. Monster Hunter Rise.
Rise. Yep.
And I remember just being like kind of in awe. I'm like, man, Xenoblade Definitive Edition didn't look this good, and that was the first party RPG. And Monster Hunters can be kind of chaotic, and to be honest, this ran kind of decent on the Switch. So I think success like that boosts sales. It increases customer retention. So when they look at some of these titles that have not come to Switch 2 yet or performed poorly in the past, I think they want that money still. I'm thinking of some games that kind of did well, but didn't get ported. Like, what's that other Monster Hunter type game that EA published and the Omega Force developers made? I'm forgetting the name. There are some. There's some AA titles that I don't know if it can run impressively on Switch 2, but a game like Tales of Arise, I think that speaks to a certain crowd that would want to play, a Tales
that's fair
action-based RPG.
Yes,
on the go. There are little titles like that when you see that announced for Switch, you go, "Huh, I never finished that game. It was a long RPG, and I'd like to take that on
games like Code. Commute. I think I'm saying it right. Code Vein, or
there you go. Yeah, like
right.
Code Vein. And of course, we've seen.
I get that.
Assist
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. No, Kofi, I mean, I like your point there, but I see, shout out to Aaron, and Aaron's like, he's a predominantly, if only, Switch owner. And he's like, I'll play those third-party games when I get there. But, he came from the world of Xbox, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, if I have a PlayStation 5, let alone a PlayStation 5 Pro, and you guys know I'm a big boy, and I have a gaming PC, I'm either going to pick to play the Pro, the gaming PC for like Borderlands 4. I'm just using Borderlands 4 as an example because is it confirmed yet that Borderlands 4 is going to the Switch? Is that confirmed?
I don't think so.
It was not confirmed yet? I thought that was. I don't know. I must have been hallucinating. That's fine. I'll look it up. But I mean, that's the thing I don't quite understand. And I mean, you can get the PS5 itself Slim was on sale at one point for, was it $399? Did it hit $399 the Slim?
Oh, you're making the argument that
it was on sale. It was on sale, but
I still need to get a PS5 Pro. I ain't getting a Switch 2 until I got a PS5 Pro at least. Flipping that. That's my number one. My number
says
one.
Here,
you're correct.
Yeah.
Mooch, it is coming to Switch.
It is. 2. It says yes. Borderlands 4 is confirmed to be released on the Nintendo Switch 2 or Borderlands 4. Yeah.
But I see the argument that you're making. There may still not be enough titles for you to make Switch your primary place to play, right? That's
right. It seems. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of. You might say, well, wait a minute. There's a lot of families with younger kids, and they have Switch 2, and that's all they have. Yeah, but those younger kids are probably not playing. The blood and guts games that are third party. But they are playing the ones that me and you just mentioned, Kofi. Those other ones. Tales of Arise, etc.
I think there are some interesting titles that could pull people into the Switch ecosystem. The number one thing I think of for maybe more hardcore gamers like me and you is that Dusk Bloods game developed from software that will jump off the screen, especially to people who might want to play with their friends, because I understand this has a multiplayer focus. And here's another one that's a bit of a deep cut. I know somebody, actually probably this whole panel played the N64 Donkey Kong game.
Yep.
That game was dope, man. Back when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And to see them take advantage of an engine that can allow Donkey Kong to destroy things and kind of move through the world in his own chaotic way, that's a big seller for me. That was probably the number one thing. I was like, wow, they finally did it. I love Donkey Kong Country, side scrolling. That was classic. And they have that one that was on Switch, but to see a full 3D adventurous world again, that was big. Of course, you got Metroid. But yeah, I wouldn't have full confidence to say Switch 2 is my primary place to play when I love some of the FPSs that I just mentioned, right?
That's right.
The Control World stuff or Painkiller. There's a bunch of things that have already got me filled out for the year.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes even past that when we're talking. Forget performance for a minute. Let's talk about actually just. So now they have game chat, but their game chat seems very primitive, right? I think people were kind of making jokes to it online. They were like, "Well, Nintendo has now introduced game chat." It's like, well, welcome to the early 2000s. Not only that,
for the right price though, that's good. If they could keep that price down. Because it'll make PlayStation Plus and Xbox seem too expensive. I don't know what that adjustment will be. Because right now, go ahead.
Do you need to have the Nintendo? I have Nintendo Online, the Family Online. I've had that. So do you need that for chat? I thought you did.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't think it's free. Is my point. I don't think it's just it's not just.
I agree.
It is need their subscription for the chat. Yeah.
Right. So my point is it is cheaper than Xbox and PlayStation by a landslide. But my point is in the form of the online service fee. But the only thing is it's just so primitive. And if you're like, well, I'm going to play Borderlands 4 on my Switch 2 with my friends. That's fine. But do they have the service? They might not, because it's not such a mandatory thing to have. On Nintendo's platform. And I don't know, I just feel like the things that they're catching up with, they still didn't do an achievement system of their own. They don't have to follow trophies. They don't have to do achievements like Microsoft. They could have done things with coins or whatever they wanted to deem worthy for Nintendo and their fans. I wish they would have done that as well.
Me too. I agree.
Unless someone really needs the portability factor right now, and I'm not just saying this to be pro PlayStation, I'm just being, if you just look at it from a business perspective, what the PS5 digital is $350 at the moment. You do not need an online subscription to play free-to-play games on PlayStation or Xbox, nor to chat and anything like that.
That's
and
right.
Considering like a lot of casuals, the games they are playing are Warzone and Fortnite. Or Apex Legends or whatever, and even Destiny now too is free to play. So like you actually do not need an online subscription to play most of those most popular online games. So if you are just a parent who's looking to buy your, kid a console or a system to play the games that everyone's playing with their friends, like the casual market, the PlayStation 5 is probably still going to be the go-to, because again, you do not need the online sub to play those free-to-play games, whereas you would need the sub, even though it's super cheap.
I'm looking at the website now. This isn't. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think. Okay, this isn't that impressive now that I read it, but it says this is on Nintendo's website about party chat. It says until March 31st, 2026, Nintendo Switch Online membership is not needed to enjoy game chat, but it will be required afterwards. So I guess it's kind of like a.
Oh, they're doing like an introductory time. Yeah. But they're also charging for their shout out to Ryan Landis in the chat. He says, Mooch, damn, Switch 2's tutorial game costs money. Yes, they are charging for the tutorial game as well. Look at it happened in the PS3 era, right? And then it happened with the Xbox One era. And then now it's happening to Switch. You would have thought Nintendo learned from the Wii U with those were more technological mistakes. Go ahead, Kofi.
Can I tell a quick anecdotal story about that? Because former president of Nintendo, Reggie Fils-Aimé, apparently was being interviewed about the prices for introductory software for a platform at launch, and apparently him and Miyamoto had a debate on whether, I believe it was Wii Sports, or whether it should have been free or not. And after much back and forth, he finally convinced, I guess, Miyamoto and other leadership to make that game free. But the argument Miyamoto made is we always charge for our work.
Yep.
So I think with him gone, the old guard or whoever else is in leadership there decided to kind of go back.
Yep. So, they're going back to exactly. And that is interesting. Thank you for that tidbit. I appreciate that, Kofi. We are getting close to the 3-hour mark, and I did promise that Persona, I get him out here. He's got a hard stop. Persona, I have to ask you, as people were asking me in the chat, just real quick, what'd you think of the Ghost of Yotei, like stealth launch reveal, if you will? No, it was just like, bam, there it is.
Listen, PlayStation's all over the goddamn place, man. They really I don't know who riding the ship right now, but man, listen, man, let me drive the boat. You understand? I don't know what the fuck going on, but just randomly doing that. I thought, that's cool, nice little surprise, right? I think Ghost of Yotei looks absolutely incredible. Like that's definitely one of my most anticipated games of 2025.
Yep.
I loved Ghost of Tsushima, so Ghost of Yotei very, very high on my list. The only thing, I'm excited for the collector's edition. It's getting pre-ordered, everything getting bought. My only thing with this collector's edition that I do not like is there is no steelbook.
Yeah.
Listen, man. PlayStation, knock it the fuck off, man. I
agree.
Cut the bullshit, man. Let me get that steelbook, especially you're talking about over 200. Come on now. But I gotta have that Ghost of Yotei mask to go with my Ghost of Tsushima mask. So day one for the collector's edition. But another thing I'm not really feeling, and I think I know why they're doing this. That October release date, that's a ways off, man. Like that's when you think about it, it's like, damn, October?
Yeah.
God damn. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, Nintendo's really about to dominate the summer.
Yeah.
Really and truly.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put my game out in the summer too.
So the summer, Persona, I like how you're doing this little strategy here for everybody. So the summer's Nintendo, right? This all but solidifies. September now. You got. I know we already went down this path, but Marathon and you got Borderlands 4 that we know of.
Yeah.
Okay.
November.
So November is November, right? So you only got November, December, and here's the thing, Wooly. When it comes down to it, November is definitely for me. I said this before on the show. I'll say it again. November was the month I locked down for. I think GTA 6. So
I think it's safe. Yeah, right? I think it's safe to say GTA 6 is November around that time.
That gives Ghost of Yotei to have the spotlight for anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. That's you know what I mean? October 2nd, early on. Even if GTA comes out, whatever, November, making this up. I don't have a calendar in front of me. 11th or whatever.
Yeah.
12th.
Yeah.
That's a solid month. That's all gamers needed to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, and funny enough, the older you get, time goes by quicker.
Yeah, it does.
So like October really will be here.
It'll be here before you blink.
Before you know it.
Yeah.
Before you know it.
Especially if you live in New York where it's only warm for like 3 months. Trust me, it flies. So
if that.
So many games.
If that. So
yeah, it's a lot of. Plus, there's a lot of
game
games.
Oh
Yo, real talk.
Crazy.
Like Expedition 33. I got to go back and platinum Assassin's Creed Shadows. Then we got Lost Soul Aside and all these other great games. I still need to play Lunar Collection, and it's too much, man.
Then you got
play Marathon Persona.
And then
not Marathon.
Really quick, I just want to give a shout out. I never played what's it called, Lords of the Fallen, but I just got the 2.0, for $20 on PSN. Yo, that game is dope. Like, I'm having a great time. I'm gonna be playing with my best friend. We're doing crossplay because he likes some Xbox and I make fun of him. But anyway, I just want to give a shout out. Anybody who hadn't played Lords of the Fallen and heard about all the problems, go check that out too if you have any time.
Yeah, well,
I put about 30 hours into that at launch. I bought it day one and put about 30 hours into it.
So
did you play Metaphor? Persona?
Matterfall. Yeah, that's a Housemarque, isn't it?
No, not Metaphor.
No,
Metaphor.
Metaphor.
Metaphor. The one.
Oh, Yo, why I thought he said. Metaphor. You're talking about Metaphor. Yeah, I did play Metaphor. I didn't finish it though. I got to go back and finish that. I'm like halfway.
I just couldn't get into it. I know my mate Sav, or DZ, as you know him, loved it so much. But I would say if you enjoyed Metaphor, you're gonna absolutely love Clair Obscur. But even more, because I love Clair Obscur, but I didn't get into Metaphor. But I guess it's kind of the somewhat comparable.
I think. Well, you may be comparing some of the gameplay, but I think the story, like we've discussed earlier in the show, the story is probably what's roping you in, Wooly. But wait,
I think the combat as well, though, because again, I think the it being real time and you being able to parry and doing all these other things. I think because the turn based is so much more engaging, I think people that don't normally play those types of games definitely will find enjoyment as well.
Is Lords of the
Can
Fallen?
We just take a moment to appreciate the word turn action, which I came up with.
Yeah, that's
quite proud of.
Yeah, you patent that. Kofi, real quick though, Lords of the Fallen 2.0 though, that's a Souls-like game, and
Yes.
is it PS5 Pro enhanced?
It is.
Okay, that means, I mean, that honestly, if we're making the jump and you're going back into a game, I know a lot of people that really did like that. I can't remember if that was one of the games that Fightin' Cowboy went through, because I think he did.
Yeah,
it looked intriguing, but
yeah, I like that. You have this lantern that allows you to kind of see an alternate version of the world, almost like my original thought is like Lens of Truth back from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. But because it kind of works in real time, I think it's really fun, and I like the co-op aspect. And there's a bunch of new beefy quality of life mechanics they've added to it. So it actually may not be on sale anymore, but if you have Game Pass, it's on there.
That's my luck. I literally have seen Hollow Knight on Steam sale forever for like the ridiculously low price, and then I was on travel last week and I brought my Steam Deck with me, and I was like, oh, great game to pick up right now. It's been $15 and I've had it on the wish list waiting forever. It's still not on sale. So if there's a game you want and you ask me to look for it, just know it'll never go on sale. It'll never happen. Trust me.
It will go on, Mooch. It will go on sale. You have to understand the cadence of Steam, right? You have the summer sale, which is the big one. Then you have the winter sale, right? So the summer sale's coming up. So if you want Hollow Knight, you're going to get that at a bargain basement price. It's probably going to be like $2 or whatever, right?
Well, that's why I want it, because Silk Song's coming out this year.
Oh, exactly. So look for the summer sale, because you haven't missed that, and that's going to be the big boy. That's going to be the one where I'm going to spend a lot and pick up a whole bunch of games that I didn't previously have in the collection, because it's going to be, the price is going to be ridiculous. So don't worry, you can still pick up your Hollow Knight on sale. This just, the cadence is whenever there's like a typical holiday. So Lunar New Year, they have a sale, autumn sale, spring sale, summer sale, winter. So just keep that in the rotation of your typical holidays in your head. An Easter sale, it's that gotta be that kind.
I'm telling you, the next time it's on sale, that's a buy for me. Persona, you said a couple times tonight, you're like, I don't know what Sony's got to. I can't figure out this new Sony and what's going on. The other thing I can't figure out, Sony, if you're listening, please bring game gifting. I mean, I think that's right. That is a great thing. Bring that on. So there's so many times that you want to gift a friend a game, or they're like, geez, I'd like to get into that. But, they never go and grab it. You all of a sudden, nothing better to bring a smile to your face, turn your console on, or you turn your PC on, and your friend bought you this.
Mooching would be so easy, bro.
Buddy, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, mooching is not easy, but it's great. You're very grateful for it. Yes.
Normally, when it's someone's birthday, we go onto their wish list on Steam.
Right.
And we'll go through on their birthday, for example, or like a Christmas.
Hey, Mooch, I gotta go.
Okay, yeah, Persona, I got you, man. I apologize. I was trying to get an outro so I could shout you out, but I will shout you out anyways. Everybody, the great Persona, everybody, go over and check out What's Up PlayStation Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Persona, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Great show, Mooch.
Thank you, Persona.
All right, guys.
Peace, Persona. Yeah, no, and I'm gonna wrap up here in a second, but go ahead and finish your thought, Deathsinger.
Thing is, like, we buy stuff for their birthday, because game gifting is just funny. Like, we could be in the Discord, and for example, we were playing that one game that was like you were working. It was kind of like Among Us, but it wasn't. It was like Rogue something, and it's like a team up game, and everyone was in the Discord playing it, and I was like, I'm not entirely sure if I picked that up, and someone was like, yo, I just check your inbox. Boom, there it was.
I'm telling you, man, it's the greatest feeling. It's legitimately the greatest feeling.
Because if someone wants to join in, it's like Pummel Party, which is like a party game.
Yep.
And it's like, it's like everyone's playing this. I don't have it. Check your inbox real quick. Boom, you got the game. Job done.
Check again.
Everyone can play.
It's fantastic. It's a great service to add to your customer base. And like I said, it's literally, think about it for a second. You're helping yourself, PlayStation. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're literally putting a device out there that somebody can spend their money that they already gave you for a game, so that their friend can play also, and they buy it again. It's 2 for 1. It's the original form of double dipping. That being said, guys, really, it's been 3 hours. I want to say thanks. And listen, I know tonight, 2 games released this week. Everyone's playing games. Of course, games released on the night of CrossFire. The NFL draft. It just keeps going on and on and on. And we had last week off, so we're a little out of rhythm. Really appreciate this amazing panel that stuck it out. Really appreciate the amazing chat that's here. Guys, please do hit that like button before you guys bounce. We'll be back next Thursday. I'm going to do some quick outros here. Just the great Kofi who came in. Kofi, I know you had a little stuff to take care of. Appreciate you being here tonight. Let people know where we can find you. And, always look for the Mooch symbol, but it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on again. It was great talking to this panel, being around with everybody. As usual, you can catch me on Twitter at creative_Kofi. Right now, I am both playing, I will be playing Expedition 33, but I'm also playing another game that was made by like a crazy amalgamation of talented people. I should probably talk about it when I have more time, but it's called 100 Line, Last Defense Academy. And I'll see you on there.
Appreciate you, Kofi. The great Wooly is with us. Wooly Gamer. Wooly, great to have you here as well, guys. Wooly, anytime you have a Thursday open, I love that you're always reaching out to me. Let me know when you get Thursdays open. You're always welcome to join us. Wooly, let people know where we can find you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, mate, it's been a pleasure and a joy. It's been great busting Deathsinger's balls again. It's been awesome hashing it out with Persona, and believe it or not, I agree with the vast majority of his takes. I just like to cause a bit of friction, I guess.
Absolutely.
And again, being on the show with Nib, my bud, and I can't not miss out flipping Kofi. He's my guy. He's my bro. From Saltiest Gaming Podcast originally.
Yes.
We go way back, me and Kofi, and I love that guy so much. So it's been awesome being with all of the crew here tonight, and I've loved it. I'm almost passed out. I'm so tired. So
it's been a very long day, and for just so you guys are listening, for Nib, Wooly, and for the great Deathsinger, it is legitimately what is it now? It's got to be 3 a.m. 3
a.m.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Mooch, just do us one favor, bro.
Sure.
Add that $500 skin to your wish list. So that It never goes on sale.
I already did. It's I did that right away, Willie. Thanks, buddy. Great to have you here tonight. The great Nib, everybody. Nib, you're supposed to be doing day trading, so I think this show just helps you out, right? We keep you awake.
Yeah, although I'll be honest, today the only thing I've traded is Expedition 33.
I love it, man.
Your wife's gonna be angry with you tomorrow.
Hey, what she doesn't know can't hurt her. Okay, so that's no one's gonna find out unless she listens to reruns of Crossfire.
When I wake up snoring late, she's gonna be, "What were you doing?" "Oh, I was on a podcast really late. Really, I'm gonna carry on playing this game."
Let me know how that goes out, Nib. I get a lot. I get a lot of guys that podcast in trouble. Nib, let people know they can find you. And thanks for being here tonight, buddy.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation, and it was great hearing like Woolie's comments on Expedition 33 as well. Like,
yes,
we're kind of on the same page. In fact, I haven't really seen any negativity about the game. Actually, I have to be honest.
Yeah,
and it's a weird thing. Like, it's one of those things. It's if I had never seen the reviews, it would have been a shock to me because like this is their first game. Apparently there's only 30 developers at the studio according to the creative director. Obviously there was probably outsourcing as well, but to have this quality of game straight out the gate and on what probably isn't much of a AAA budget is just insane. Like, kudos to the
bro. Most of the budget must have gone on the cast, I swear. Like, flipping that.
Like every now and again you get like a studio where they come out guns blazing so strong that you think this is one you got to really keep an eye on. And I thought that about like CDPR. I think that about Game Science with Black Myth Wukong, and I really do think that about Claire. What are they called again? I don't even know what they're called. This studio. But yeah,
it's French.
I think the Expedition 33 team.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Like, bloody hell! Like from now on, like we have to be glued to whatever they do next because these guys are hella talented.
Sandfall Interactive.
There we go. Sandfall Interactive. Kudos to you. I tip my hat. I mean, again, I haven't completed the game. I'm only, I don't know, like 7-8 hours in or something. But if this keeps up, I think it will probably be like my top game of the year contender. And I cannot wait to see at the end of the year what the mix is going to be like, because we've already had a lot of strong titles, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, and whatnot. And I'm sure Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2 are going to have something to say as well. But, this shit is coming out strong. So let's see how it fares. But thank you to the discussion. You can find me on X. It's just NIB95_.
Awesome, Nib. Thank you so much. And the great Deathsinger. Deathsinger, let everybody know they can find you. And as always, outstanding show. And I think you even gained another 20% of the audience tonight, Deathsinger.
I always game the audience,
You do. You really do.
It's because, like, who else spends that kind of money on games, like microtransactions? I mean, I personally do know people who spend more than that. I mean, there's tons of people in the community, but we're not going to go there. But, so, yeah, it's a great show, great panel, great topics. I mean, shout out to Oblivion and Clair Obscur releasing. And they're both on Game Pass too, which is a solid get, because if you mainly play through Game Pass, like some people do, you've picked up some bangers so far this year, and you've got more bangers to go. And
Absolutely.
I got way more games to play. Like, I had to shelve Monster Hunter Wilds. It's done. I can't do it because I got Expedition 33.
Yep.
By the time I finish that, I'll have Doom coming up, and then I have some other games coming up. Luckily, I was able to finish Avowed and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows got put on the back burner as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oblivion is on the back burner. So hopefully, come the summertime, there might be, few and far between games that I actually want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed, because I just can't play all these games right now.
There's so many, and I hope that what's going to happen is I think I said this, that's you may remember a while ago. We are now hitting that peak part of the roller coaster where it's just going to be a free fall of unbelievable games for the rest of this generation. So when it comes down to that, I hope a lot of these games don't end up in all of our backlogs and then we don't ever get to them. So pick and choose wisely. There is only so much sand in the hourglass. So you do have to pick wisely. I will also be playing Expedition 33 all weekend long, so you guys will be seeing me. Anyone who follows me on Discord or anywhere else, you'll see. I'm very excited to talk a little bit more about it next week in an more in-depth review of the game. But let me give a couple shout-outs to the folks who couldn't be here tonight. Shout out to Brap. Brap hopefully will be here. He's coach of the year. He has a baseball game or soccer game literally every Thursday and like Friday, it seems. So shout out to Brap. It's at Brap_podcast. Shout out to the Wise Old Gamer. He had to leave early. Shout out to Wise. Hope everything's all right. Wise Old Gamer, you guys know him. He does Wasted with Y, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Crap had to leave at 9 o'clock. You have the _Crap Gamers, Crap Gamer Reviews. Forte and the Great Slow-Mo Backslap are doing DPS right now. Tell Mooch that if you go over there. And, of course, Persona had to leave a little bit early. It's at Persona Speaks over on X and Gaming with Persona on YouTube. Guys, he does What's Up PlayStation Saturday mornings with the great Jay Bari. That being said, guys, hit that like button on the way out. We will see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, go over to Mooch TV. It's M00CHTV everywhere. Go over to Twitch. We are going to be streaming within the next week and a half. Everything is now done. The trip is over. The office is ready. We're getting the lights up. It's going to be a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun. And it's going to be many times a week. So it's going to be as consistent as we do CrossFire. And you guys are going to love it. Hope to see you guys over there. Again, hit that like button. We'll see you next Thursday. Peace out and good night.
Night, everyone.
Good night, bro. Good night, guys. Peace out.
Yeah, good night. Peace out.
Good night. Peace out.